because we have a vested interest in participating in reducing solid waste, and we're a huge organization who is looking forward to working with the county to participate in this process.
Let's give her a big round of applause for being here today. And it's fitting that you're here for the first time in this workshop, as we as an executive committee have invited folks in our community who are big producers, but also very, very interested in trying to address and be partners with. The school board, of course, is monolithic in size and footprint, but it also has such influence in the messaging and ultimately whatever we are able to construct in this system. It has been said by many around this table, and full agreement, unanimous agreement, that the influence that the school board has is more than just on what it produces or has access, whether it's organic waste or otherwise. It's also on what it does to change minds, starting with the smallest children who will finger wag at their parents for not putting it in the right bin, and all the things that we know the school board and our teachers and the system can do. So we welcome you here this morning, and we're very, very grateful. And this morning we are focused on a workshop that brings together just some of our corporate partners throughout this community who have focused heavily on these issues. Most of us probably have no idea the work that they're doing, the intensity with which they tackle these issues, and their corporate philosophical approach to the same issues that we are attempting to address here through this board. I welcome all of the members. There were many others who wanted to participate. I know for those that are here today, the time frame was relatively short. And what we really hope to do was to simply be able to provide an introduction to the community that they may not realize how many of the corporate partners out there are doing their work. Additionally, while much of our discussions are often focused on the end of the driveway or the building condos that have to participate in this process, we know that many of our corporate partners are large producers, and they have to be partners in this process, and we want to hear from them. Finally, I will say, you will hear some very, very interesting programs that are already in place. I'll just select one because they happen to live in Sunrise. The Panthers, yeah, Florida Panthers are here. Give them some noise, right? Come on. And I've been told that they're here today to guarantee a repeat.
It's so much fun.
But in all sincerity, you'll hear later about what they're doing and what they've initiated without being prompted by this Solid Waste Authority. And what's important is not only what they're doing, but the influence like the school board and other corporate partners have. I'll put it in the context that when you are an elected official in the community and you need to get the word out, often we go to the faith-based community. We go to our priests and rabbis and imams to be able to convey messaging. And we do that because while we think that what our voices say are important, congregations tend to listen to their priest. And one of the sacred places is the arena. And the Panthers have that capacity to tell their fans what's important, how to dispose, what are the important issues. And living on the edge of the Everglades and their capacity to communicate is just one example of what we see from many of the corporate partners you'll hear from today who have an influence over their patrons and the commitment that they have to the same mission that we have. I'll turn it over to the vice chair.
Just ready to get going.
All right, let's do it. All right, so we have from the business community institutional presentations, we'll start with education, North Broward Prep. Come on up, floor is yours. And I want to thank just in advance, all of the participants today who've had to work to get their slide decks to our staff to be able to be ready and to be in order. Yes. Okay, go for it. Go ahead. Member Rydell, please welcome North Broward Prep.
Yeah, to introduce this, I referenced this to one of our last meeting. We have Rita Vester. She's one of the teachers and educators at North Broward Prep, which happens to be located in the great city of Coconut Creek. And she has been a stalwart with some of our community partners in the city. I'm looking forward to the presentation. I'm glad we have a school board member here today because if we're able to mimic this throughout our county and our public schools. I've never met you, Ms. Bowman. I look forward to it. But if we're able to mimic this in our public school system, this is something that is going to be unparalleled in how we can change our community. So, Rita Vester, I give you the lead in, Ms.
Thank
Vester.
you. Good morning. Thank you for having me. And I first I wanted to say that there's no way I couldn't have, I'm just here to present. This is not just me. There's no way I could have done all of this without the city's support, without the students, without the parents. It's not just me. Again, I'm just a lucky one to be able to share this with you. So what does sustainability look like for us right now? A year ago, we didn't do any of this. Again, with the push of the students, I'm able to share what I'm sharing today. So in order to have this program, we had to be not just trying to be environmentally sustainable, but also financially sustainable. I realized that it wasn't going to work unless I mix those two together. You can put so much money in being environmentally sustainable, but once the economy goes down or the enrollment goes down, this is the first thing they're going to cut, right? So I figured I have to find ways to make sure that it doesn't cost money. And that was interesting because we had to come up with ways to do the composting and recycling and creating food forest and having an apiary on campus and making sure that eventually, or even at the beginning, it won't cost us any money. So it's not like the system was broken, but we had to find out ways to address those financial inefficiency. Again, it's not like people didn't do their jobs well. It's just, it's a new system. So we had to figure out ways to make the system work for the new way of living at North Broward Prep. So we are currently composting. We are reducing landfill waste. And also we are using that compost instead of using a lot of the synthetic fertilizer we have been using. We are starting recycling May 1st. We are adding more gardens. We just added 2 more new gardens. We are providing the cafeteria with a lot of the food that we are growing. And our apiary is in full bloom. Let's go to the next one. Our partner is here. Dustin, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. We have composted so far since August, 65,000 pounds of waste, which is approximately 28 tons. Looking ahead with lower school participation, I think that's coming next week. Just started, okay. We've only done the upper school. So with lower school participation, we're projecting to prevent 35 metric tons of CO2 to enter into the atmosphere, which I've been told it's a significant impact on the environment. We've received 8 cubic yards of compost delivered to our school. We have used them for raised beds, new gardens by the pool. We have done a science experiment with it where part of the lawn we put on our compost and the other part we use synthetic fertilizer. So we'll get the results in about 2 weeks. And the financial impact, well, at first I thought, well, maybe we'll probably have like 2 toters a week and like, you know, that we'll compost. And then after the first week, we kept saying, we need more, Dustin, we need more. And I was thinking, yeah, I don't know how we're going to pay for this, but we're going to keep on going. We'll find the money. It costs us about $1,500 a month to compost, but by reducing one of the pickups, we're actually saving $1,500 a month. So it's a wash. It doesn't cost us any money to compost. We had to make some changes in the cafeteria. We went from having disposable silverware to reusable silverware. Those are one of the things that was a very costly item, and it ended up right in the landfill. So not only that, we added reusable plates. In the upper school, we had them for a while, but they ended up in the trash. So again, you have to think outside of the box. I created those toppers for the trash, and it's small enough that they can't throw the plates in there. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? I reduced the number of trash bins to these two only. That is away from the students. They really have to make an effort to get to it, so they don't use it because everything gets composted in our cafeteria. In 2023, we spent $46,000 on disposable ware, which means silverware, plates. We started composting in May of 2024, and our disposable serviceware cost went down to $31,000 from $46,000. So just for those 4 months, we saved $14,000. We added a little bit more cost to the dishwasher cost, but it's nowhere near to that. So I can't wait to see what it will be after a full year. Again, the recycling program is starting on May 1st. We're doing plastic and paper only for students and staff. In the cafeteria, there will be glass and jars as well. This is my favorite. So we are working on having fully sustainable gardens, meaning that the students are harvesting the seeds. We are replanting them. On the left, you see a wall that's all basil. It's a hydroponic system my students built in my after-school club. That's basil. We provide the cafeteria with 100% of the basil that they need, full year round. Next to it, you have students cleaning pineapple crowns. We get that from the cafeteria, and we propagate them, and most of them are from last year having fruit on it this year, so we're replanting them. Then you see a student building garden beds, and then those are the finished products on the right. So far, out of the 8 promised, we have 4 built this year. There's going to be 4 more coming. We have banana trees growing. We have papaya trees. It's a whole food forest. We also have an apiary now. It's in full bloom. The newbies are hatching. They have started to deposit honey for us. We got certified by the state, so we are ready to have some educational program. We're going to start with kindergarten, actually, and they're going to come out and have an educational program built just for them. So we took care of the paper and the cardboard waste, the food waste, the plastic waste. The metal and glass will be recycled in the will be collected in the cafeteria to be recycled. But some of the things that we're still working on is having the students and faculty understand that our waste is our responsibility. And minimizing the waste is the key, not just recycling and composting, but really minimizing. So maybe you don't need 2 scoops of salad when you know you're not going to eat it. Maybe you don't want to buy that Gatorade because it's not good for the environment. So changing their mindset is really the key, because again, it's the waste we generate is our responsibility. So I would love to have composting set up on campus. Not all full-blown composting. We still need you, Dustin. But for students to understand how composting works, and it would be a student-led initiative. Student will be working in the composting area. Also, I'm looking for some partnership to keep those plastic on campus, understand how much plastic we are using, and create a facility where we can repurpose that, student-led facility where they can repurpose that. We can reuse that, maybe for ID tags, maybe art or engineering can use it. We do have a 3D printer, so maybe we can use it for that. So some way using it on campus so it doesn't leave our campus, it would stay on campus. And again, our waste, our responsibility to teach the students how to do all that. And
Thank you very much. That was an excellent. Let's give her a round.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How many students do you have in upper school and in lower?
Your mic's not on mic.
Oh, sorry. I believe close to 3,000 in the upper school, and I believe another 1,200 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just
And
trying to
then
get a sense
faculty.
based on the, for instance, the organics of 55,000 pounds from just the upper school. That was roughly 3,000 students since August,
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm.
And I want to just thank you for the philosophical approach, which is it really starts with the first decision, right? Whether it's purchase at a off the shelf, what are we purchasing? Why are we purchasing? How are we purchasing? And the theme I think we'll see from a lot of the presenters today is about this idea of a closed system, and you're trying to round that out, right? That within your own system, what comes into campus and what stays and what goes is all part of your decision.
That's
It's a
right.
very good model. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Does anybody have any questions for? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, once again, yep. All right, Discovery Museum. And then up behind this will be the Broward County Public Schools.
And with regards, Joe, thank you for coming today. I want to say thank you and let everybody know that Joe allowed us to use the Discovery Museum for the backdrop of student Eco Talk videos that were recorded a couple of weekends ago. Want to say thank you for that. I thought it was a great day. The students had a good time, and they kind of got into the groove after they got used to the camera, and want to say thank you for everything you did that day.
No, you're more than welcome. They absolutely loved it. In a shock to no one, putting teenagers on camera was not a hard thing to do. So, oh, thank you so much for having me here this morning.
Just give everybody your name again.
Absolutely, sorry. Joe Cox, President and CEO of the Museum of Discovery and Science. So, as hopefully everyone knows, the museum has been part of Broward County for almost 50 years. And last year, we saw almost 500,000 people at our campus in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We're accredited, and in 2023, we actually won the Institute of Museum and Library Service National Medal, which is about the highest honor a museum can get. And one of the reasons we were recognized was for our work in resilience education that we've launched, and that Mayor Furr is part of our committee. And I want to talk a little bit about that and a little bit about some of the initiatives we're already taking and are about to take. So our Hub for Resilience Education really came about because we recognize that as much as we would like it, not everyone in Broward County has the opportunity to be in a meeting like this. And so each year we see about 500,000 visitors at our museum from all over South Florida, from every state in the country. And so we saw a real opportunity to showcase the great work that is happening by cities, counties, partner organizations, corporate partners, other nonprofits, and really elevate what their work is in our community, with the goal of really one thing: raising the environmental literacy of our community and preparing our community to be more resilient to all of the impacts of changing climate, of waste, of energy use that we're having to deal with. So first thing we started, we actually got a federal grant from the National Endowment for Humanities to work on a climate action plan. And so we are just about wrapping up year 2 of a 3-year project. First thing we did was really look at what our usage was. And so we hired, as part of our Hub for Resilience Education, a director of environmental sustainability who's been working on this with a third-party partner, really understanding what 500,000 visitors a year produce in waste and how we can reduce that. Spoiler alert, it's a lot of popcorn. We produce lots and lots of popcorn. And again, we're working with Dustin on setting up our composting program at the museum. So we've done the analysis, and now we're really looking at kind of how we address this. Most of our waste, it's about 95 gallons of popcorn every 2 days. Our composting program is getting up and running. So about 3 years ago, we started a tropical food forest at the museum, and we've literally got mangoes, bananas, pineapples, and strawberry fruit growing out in the food forest. We also, about 5 years ago now, partnered with Ark Broward to do all of the catering in our cafe and switch to all compostable materials. In addition to that, we're working with Ark Broward, which is such a great organization. Birthday parties. We do a lot of birthday parties at the museum and have switched to compostable materials, literally saving about 50,000 plastic spoons. Again, a lot of birthday cake. And our food and wine event that hopefully many of you have been to over the years, 2,000 people, 50 wine stations, lots of food, lots of waste. That is going to be entirely green by 2028 at the latest. So in our Hub for Resilience Education, waste is a big focus. We aligned this with the Broward County Climate Action Plan, have built a great team of partners, and I know the Solid Waste Authority will be coming on as one of these partners. Some of these partners are funding partners, some are thought partners, and some are community partners. Started with programs, lots and lots of educational programs around this. Our STEM-mobile, which you see kind of down there in the bottom middle, we now have 5 mobile outreach vans that go out all over South Florida delivering educational programs. This year alone, we will serve over 75,000 students in Broward County Public Schools, in libraries, community centers. And thanks to our corporate partners, like the Florida Panthers, like FPL, about 83% of those programs are now delivered at no cost. And so we've worked with the Broward NPO to create programs around civil planning, urban planning, and we look forward to working with the Solid Waste Authority to perhaps create something around waste as the new program is rolled out. Our Eco Explorers, as Todd mentioned, are our environmental sustainability interns. This year we have 80 of them, 80 paid high school interns. They work 25 hours a month learning about careers in environmental sustainability, all Broward County Public School students. And then we are building, opening in April of next year, a new 7,500 square foot permanent exhibit focusing on resilience education, with one of the highlights being waste and how waste is processed, used, and really highlighting innovation. I am incredibly excited because we got recently a $2.5 million grant from the Lilly Endowment in Indianapolis towards this initiative. So opening in 2026, huge, big, immersive exhibit that will really highlight that what we're doing in South Florida is incredibly innovative and really is going to be inspiring, the next generation of future leaders. I'll flick through some of this just so you can see some of the detail we're getting into, but it's really about showing how Broward County is on the cutting edge in so many ways in resilience education. And so preview of the exhibit, very immersive, very hands-on. This is going to include things like a digital theater, and one of the things our visitors are most excited about, a 4-story climbable mangrove sculpture. My staff think I'm a little crazy, but there we go. And so the goal of this, right, is to make sure, as was said at the beginning, that the next generation of children grow up the same way that I did. That annoying little kid who's like, Mom, you're doing it wrong. And I will tell you, my parents live on the island of Malta in the Mediterranean. And I went back to visit a couple of years ago, and I went to put a banana peel into the rubbish. And my mom turns to me and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm putting a banana peel in the rubbish." She's like, "But that goes in the composting bin." They have a national composting program that my mom who I had to train as a kid now trained me. So what we're doing is really exciting. We're thrilled to be partners with the Solid Waste Authority on this. So thank you for giving us the opportunity this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joe,
Joe, I
before you
just want to thank
go.
you.
Yes, I did compost the banana.
Great presentation. And I just wanted, people don't know how much, a wonderful partner with Broward County on all the resilience, putting our climate change action plan to, show everybody how to do it. One of the best things that you all have been able to do is bring it throughout the county. They make sure that everybody on the entire economic spectrum, anybody that has a food stamp gets almost a free ticket to get in there. So through all the child care centers, all those, they have made sure that this entire county gets in there. It's not just, because the ticket's normally a little expensive, but not too bad, not too bad. But you've made it so it is open to everybody in this county, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Access to us means I want to make sure every child in our community has access to the programs that we offer, and we're able to do that thanks to our partners at the county, our philanthropic partners, our corporate partners. So thank you for recognizing that.
Thank you for the finger wag example from you to your mom. Less parents feel that what the Solid Waste Authority is empowering young students to create chaos at home. I know there are folks out there trying to invent remote opportunities to turn off the shower on their teenagers. So there will be some balance in all of this, I'm sure. So thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Let's give her another round of applause. All right, Broward County Public Schools. Come on, let's give them a round of applause.
Turn it back on.
Hit the face.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So Maura Bowman from the Broward County School Board, and I have Allison Witoshinsky with me, who is the director of our Environmental Health and Safety Department, because our organization is massive, and she's the one that has all the information that you guys requested originally. I'm going to let her start with our presentation.
So just,
Excuse me one moment.
yeah.
Just make sure you can't talk into the mics to record this appropriately.
okay.
Yeah, so maybe need to
Can
move
you hear
it
me
a little,
okay?
move it a little closer, maybe. Yeah, it'll slide. It moves.
Oh, that, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got it. So again, I'm Allison Witoshinsky, Director, Environmental Health and Safety. This is our just a little organization about where we fit under facilities, and then our physical plant operations, which is the maintenance wing of the division. And we previously met with Mr. Storti and some people from the League of Women Voters. So these are some of the questions that came up, and we talked about just kind of an overview of what we do as a district. We do recycling. All the administrative schools, all the administrative sites and schools have recycling services available for paper, cardboard, metal, plastic, and glass. We have roll-off containers for bulk waste. Any used furniture or things that are still in good condition go to our B stock, which is a service that things can be reused or repurposed. And then electronics are recycled through a bid that is through the school district. Trash is collected 5 days a week, usually Tuesday through Saturday. And we are, we have schools in every single municipality, and we are directed,
almost
all of them. We are directed to utilize the services that are contracted with those municipalities in all but 3, where we have a specific district contract for those 3. And then food waste is collected with our regular trash. We are phasing out the use of a SOMAT machine, which is basically just like a food grinder, which that would still go in the regular trash, and moving towards more compactors. And then there are a few share table programs at 6 locations, and that is not handled by my department, but the Applied Learning Group. So the Applied Learning Group is the one that handles more of the educational programs and things for at the school level related to environmental stewardship and sustainability. And we don't have composting because we have not previously been aware of a vendor that could utilize that we could utilize for those services. I understand that now. We PPO custodial, there's best practices on how the trash is maintained and moved around the school and put in the compactors. We also provide training when there's a new compactor, and if any recycling questions come up, we will engage our vendor in order to communicate with the school staff. Again, Applied Learning has sustainability programs and educational materials specifically for teacher use, whether it be in the classroom or as an after-school activity. Again, no waste composition studies, and we look forward to working with the Solid Waste Authority in the future. This is kind of a breakdown of where our waste goes. Our front load containers, the compactors and the roll-offs, and then recycling of about 1,800 yards per week. Just a note about recycling, we do pay for it, but it is at a lower cost than what we spend to throw away things in the trash. So we do encourage recycling, and it's mostly paper in the school level, cardboard from the kitchen and the district maintenance, and then metal also from kitchen and district maintenance. And this is the breakdown of where our schools are located and where the refuse is coming from each municipality. And then a breakdown of the different haulers that are used for all of the different sites, about 248 sites that we have throughout the county. And I think that, so, we are interested in doing more green things, but we need the teachers and things like that to be present and be available in the schools, but we have to figure out a way to pay them a supplement or something like that. So that's been a challenge for us, but we're interested in working through that. Also, more education on recycling. Our concerns and challenges are that we do work with 21, well, we have to use the services of 21 different municipalities. We do not have any control over that cost. And in most cases, that is a higher cost than the bid that we have for the 3 that we have the bid for. And everything is commingled. We're really unable to understand from a pickup standpoint, like how much volume, because it's a pickup per cost per pickup. And then, sometimes we have issues with the service or the schedules of the service. And the last item is just, we would love to do a waste stream evaluation. I think that's probably the next step so that we can really understand food waste and moving forward with that. So our challenge there is funding. So Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. A couple quick questions on that. Yep. Do you have more you want to present? Or
Yeah,
couple
well,
quick questions.
so thank you, Allison. So that's kind of the facts. But we have been working this year to kind of try to implement more programs. So last year I heard Mayor first speak, and he'd come back from the climate summit talking about doing this mass composting program for Broward, and I was thrilled to death because I'm a giant dork. But so I talked to him earlier this year about implementing this in the schools. So what we've been working on throughout the various departments, of which there are many and many people that have to go together, is to start implementing composting in the schools. And so there's different programs that are happening, different teachers that are leading, have food forests, are doing composting, are doing shared food tables at individual schools. So I'm trying to work to get those moving parts all together. What we're looking to do is to have a few schools that already have active programs as proof of concept so that we can start composting with the cafeterias, implementing shared food tables, and then involving the students, because as you said earlier, the most important thing is to educate our next generation. This is a problem that they're going to be inheriting. This is their future, and we need the buy-in. So, and then the shame, of course, that they can give for all the people that don't seem to care quite as much. So that is an important component. And then I think that, with these kind of proof of concept initiatives, we'll be able to get more data, because the students themselves will be able to measure what they're taking out of commingled waste and how we're retrieving organics and putting them in into a composting situation. And then they're also, like, procurement and other departments are already looking at, as their contracts expire, either reusable silverware trays or compostable, because right now we do have compostable trays, but we're using plastic utensils. There's also an issue about procurement of food, because a lot of that is wrapped in plastic, which has not only environmental impact, but also a health impact. So also looking at other kinds of food sources that we can have that would eliminate some of that waste. So that's what we're working on right now.
So thank you. Before you go anywhere, I want to raise a few points, because you face enormous challenges. We've bookended you, right? We have North Broward Prep, right, as a closed system, has a capacity within its own footprint to do something with 248 sites. How many students and employees does the school district have?
30,000 employees and 250,000 students, which includes the charter schools.
Right. So to give a sense of the complexity of what you face, even though you can see in the horizon what needs to be done, it's a very challenging process for you. I really value the fact that you've shared with us the challenges you face, because the cities are going to have to play a role in this, not just the Solid Waste Authority, but individual municipalities through the League of Cities are going to have to partner with you to get there. The waste composition study is critical. There are resources. I know you can talk to Todd, and SES is here. The capacity to understand what you're producing and in what ways is important. But even before you can do anything with that, you're pointing out, you have to change the human dynamics. We heard from North Broward Prep, making sure the disposal is too small to throw the plates out, all these things. And we'll hear from the Panthers as well and others. You have to really comprehensively look at it. And it's very challenging in a district, and funding is constantly going to be the issue. And so the ability of us as the authority to partner with the school district, because it is such an enormous producer, right? Leave aside the educational component, such an enormous producer in a complex environment that is almost mind-boggling. We need to work with you on that. So first, I'm glad you're here, part of this process. And second, I think it was important for the community to understand, it's easy if you look at it through I don't want to say straw, because that gets us in trouble saying straws. But if you look through a pinhole, you can say, okay, this is what we can do in our elementary school. Why aren't we doing it? But it's a very complex operation to expand it. We just, because it's a bigger challenge, doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means we have to work harder with you. So thank you for that. We have a number of comments around the table. I'll start with Vice Chair.
Thanks. First of all, Mara, I'm really glad you're part of this, because any time you're doing something changing like this, you've got to have some person with some passion to it. And I know you've got it. And your work with Superintendent Hepburn, who is also an environmental scientist, and is very psyched about doing all of this, that's a good thing to have. So it's a great partnership. But it is like turning around the Queen Elizabeth a little bit on this.
In a canal.
Yeah, in a canal, right. But this is where I think you're going to see flow control make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because every one of those vendors, haulers, are going, we're going to be asking them to take your stuff, unless you can keep it on your campus. You're going to be asking them to take it somewhere. And it's hard to ask them to have a dedicated fleet to that until you have flow control. So, this is going to be a little bit of chicken and egg for a little while. But, you guys are like so important to making this happen. The entire educational part of this will not happen without you all. So I'm glad you all are at the table. I'm glad you guys are on your way to it. I know you've got, all these contracts that you're having to kind of go through before you can go into new ones. But you're on your way, and it's going to be great. Thanks.
Member Rydell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you again for being here. I think this is one of the most important components. I want to make sure our director makes sure you're both looped in. So I think one of the most important things, Ms. Bowman, that we have is that our staff in all our cities are routinely looped in. And I think the young lady you brought today is very important that she should be looped in on all these resources, because some of this isn't recreating the wheel. There's probably things that have happened in the past 18 months, 2 years on this board that you could directly put into some sort of recommendations under the facilities director that may be an easier course of action than saying, hey, we need funding for this. There may be just an easy connection. So I just want to make sure we loop them into everything. The other thing I'll say, and it's more of a comment, and I think you'll appreciate this to all of us, is we need to look at how all of our hauler agreements are going to affect the schools in our district, because my hauler agreement directly impacts the 9 schools I have in Coconut Creek, the public schools. So I think that should be something that we all take a little extra consideration on whenever it's coming up. And I know Member Dunn isn't here, but she's been real specific about, hey, my hauler agreement's coming up.
Oh, Member Dunn's not here, right?
No,
Right.
but she's been, wanting Jamie to get the ordinances and to make
Right.
sure that the language is in there. But something else as a carve out is saying, hey, if there's going to be a recyclable component in Coconut Creek, if there's going to be a composting requirement that I have in my hauler agreement, we got to make sure that that is provided to you as well and at the school board. So I think it could start there as just a dialogue point. Thank you.
If I can just, on that point, it's interesting, it may actually impede, right? The school district can't contract right now at all with its own hauler. So if they decided, hey, we're going to do composting tomorrow, I'm not saying they would, and certain cities have not yet got to where their hauler can participate in that, there could be issues. And so to your point, I think we need to make sure we're sitting down through the League of Cities, SWA, and the school board to figure out where that is, and then bring our partners to the table to say, how do we do that?
Well, I could see that also as a recommendation point. I know obviously we have SCS here today, but that's something that you would hope in final recommendations gets addressed, that, all member cities address these finer points with their hauler agreements as well.
Yep.
Thank you,
Part
Mr.
of that
Chair.
part of flow control.
Yeah, good,
Correct.
good point. Member Mead.
Thank you, Chair. To second everything that's been said before, I look at this as a fantastic opportunity. There's all kinds of stuff out there that we can do and we can make good use of. I would like for you to forward that slide presentation to our executive director so that he could forward it to us, because I think there's some good points in there, your challenges, what you are doing, the direction you're going. And I think if, in the wisdom of the panel here, if it's decided that we break down into specific categories to work directly with the school board, I would be more than happy to serve on that panel.
Fantastic. I think all of the slide decks are available, and we'll have those produced and put online, frankly, so the community can see it as well. Thank you, Member Mead. Anyone else? All right, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for being here. All right, now we're moving into our tourism area. I want to thank Jamie and the Work with Broward Workshop, the tourism groups, Royal Caribbean Group is here. I want to point out that we know how important tourism is to South Florida, but we don't always recognize how big their operations are. We can often see tourism as who's showing up at the mall or at games or other things or the beaches, but they're also very, very large corporate complex organizations. During COVID, Royal Caribbean and other cruise lines were so critically important in helping us in our food challenges, where contracts had already been executed for delivery of food. Food was stocked, and there was no cruise ships going. You guys really cooperated with the community in an amazing way, and truly made the difference. In almost all our cities, we had mile-long lines for food, and it was really on the back of what the tourism industry did to come together for our community. So welcome, introduce yourself, and thank you for being here.
So very good morning, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Hackley. I am the Director of Environmental Programs for Royal Caribbean Group. I have a short presentation, but I'm going to do mostly talking because I don't like slides very much. So if this is a video, do I have to do something
We'll hit
special? So that's our overarching company policy with See the Future. So we look at everything holistically. We want to sustain our planets. We want to energize the communities in which we operate, and we want to accelerate innovation. So we have, it's not just me doing everything environment. We have a big ESG team that does our sustainability report, all of our external reporting. We have a full decarbonization team that's looking how to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. We have a private destinations team that looks specifically at all the different private destinations that we're building. We have, you may have heard of it, we have a nice island in the Bahamas called Coco Cay. We're building another private destination in Costa Maya, Mexico. So all of these places, we have a specific team that looks at how to reduce our environmental impact, both from the solid waste, the liquid waste, so our sewage treatment on all of that. My specific role is overseeing the environmental operations for our shipboard operations. We operate 5 different brands in all 7 continents. So we have Royal Caribbean, Celebrity Cruises, Silver Sea, and then 2 joint ventures, TUI Cruises. They're a German company, and Hapag-Lloyd, also German. So we have 70 ships all over the world. And all of our ships from an environmental perspective are operated the same. So we do everything at a level in which we can maximize the environmental good that we do. From a waste perspective, we have our Save the Waves program, which has been, let's go to the next one. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. So our Save the Waves program started in 1992. So we've been around for more than 30 years. Really what that was looking at how to recycle as much as possible on board and reduce any impact to the marine environment. From then, it has grown quite a bit. In 1996, the first environmental officer was situated on one of our cruise ships. We still have that program today. It has grown immensely, but every single ship in our fleet has a dedicated environmental officer to oversee environmental compliance and increase our positive impact. In 2014, we started our Green Hubs program. This is where we partnered with different ports around the world to recycle as much as possible. And what we couldn't recycle, we tried to make sure goes to a waste to energy facility. So we have a lot of operations in Port Everglades. We are happy to say that Port Everglades is one of our green hubs. So we do prioritize offloading our waste and recyclables there. We have others around the world, Miami as well, Sydney, Australia, Copenhagen, a lot of Northern European ports are green hubs as well. So we're continuing to look at expanding those green hubs. And we have, I think, last count 35 around the world. So they're quite a few. Most of our ships are able to call in a green hub and minimize their waste to landfill. So how do we do all of this? On board, every single one of our crew members goes through Save the Wave training. What that is, it's basically single stream recycling. So the crew members are trained to bring down the waste from their work areas, from their cabins, and we have a waste handling room. Every single thing is sorted in that waste handling room. So aluminum, from paper, from cardboard, really random things that you wouldn't think of. So everyone goes down to one waste handling room, everything gets sorted. Our biggest challenge on the ship is space. We have a very limited space on board, and there's usually a fight over it. So in addition to sorting all of our waste, we look at how we can reduce that volume. We have compactors, we have shredders, we have glass crushers. So everything is sorted, packaged as compact as possible, ready to be landed to the different ports. And we're also looking at different innovations on how we can prevent waste from having to be landed ashore at all. On our newest ship, we're trialing a technology called it's EAP, so electrolysis assisted pyrolysis, which I am not an engineer, so I don't quite understand how this works, but our food waste goes into this machine where it goes to very high pressure, very high temperature, and syngas is produced, so it helps with GHG emissions as well. The syngas is enough to power a boiler for our steam generation, and then the output is a biochar, and that biochar has fertilization components. We're working on partnering with some agriculture partners down in Homestead. We've done some testing on this biochar, so it's all very new, but it has given us a way to manage our food waste without having to land it ashore. I will also mention that I love hearing about composting, and I wish it's something that we could do on board our ships. But because we travel internationally, we have to comply with the U.S. Department of Agriculture rules. So any food waste coming off of our ship has to be treated as high risk to agriculture. So it's a little bit of a challenge for us. So we're looking at different ways for food waste. Another thing that we're doing, again, to reduce food waste, we look at a lot of our waste generation from the front end. So what can we do to prevent waste from having to be treated at all? For food waste, we're working on an AI solution. So they look at the different patterns of the demographics on board, what's been consumed the day before, and they're very precise about what they prepare for the buffets, how they're managing that food, how much do they need to take out to prepare for the next day. So they've been able to reduce food consumption by, I think, I don't want to make up numbers, but I think it's somewhere around 20% so far. And from that, we reduce food waste because we have less to deal with. We also have made a really big push towards eliminating single-use plastics on our ships. So we started with phase 1. We got rid of all the condiment packets, straws, plastic utensils, that sort of thing. Our next phase is dealing with water bottles. We produce the water on our ships, but for whatever reason, people are worried about drinking the water that we produce. I promise you it's great water. I drink it all the time. But the plastic water bottles is a difficult one. We've tried aluminum bottles, which has its pros and cons. We have to make people happy. And some people say the water out of the aluminum doesn't taste good. So I don't know. So plastic water bottles is a tough one for us, and we're working on that. But we continue to look for different ways to reduce our impact on the environment. And I will say that in Broward County specifically, we use Waste to Line Solutions as our hauler, and we work with that company to bring what can be to recycling facilities, and then everything else to Wheelabrator in South Broward. So we use their waste to energy facility. Also, interestingly, we for some of our like liquid sludge, hazardous waste, we use Cliff Berry. They're based in Fort Lauderdale as well. They use our incinerator ash as a solidifying agent for some of their treatments, so that even our incinerator ash is able to be reused, which is nice. It's good to see. And all of the, or I shouldn't say all, but many of the recycled items we're able to get rebates for. And those rebates go directly to the crew welfare fund. So we created an incentive for the crew members to really use what they've learned on board, maximize what they're doing as far as waste sorting and recycling goes. And all of that benefit goes directly back to the crew. So that's where we are. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's a big job and a lot of.
Thank you. It's a very complex subject. There's much more to talk about. One of the first things I wrote down right away is challenges, question mark, because I really, it's easy for us to talk about composting at a school or in our backyard. I recognize that now it's very complex from a regulatory standpoint, leaving really only the South Broward plant, I guess, for all of your food waste because it has to be burned, I guess, is what you've learned. So that's important for the community to understand. It's not that there isn't an interest in doing it, but the federal regulations, for probably good reason, right? Because of the invasive species and things like that.
Yep.
So that was really, really helpful. The EAP that you're introducing on ships, is that operational now on any ships?
It is operational on our newest ship, so it's on Icon of the Seas. When it first came out, we had some trouble with it, but we've done the troubleshooting and now it's operating, I think, for about a month now. So not a lot of insight on that because it's still fairly new. And it will be going on the next Icon class as well, Star of the Seas. So we're keeping it, and we just need to modify it to make sure it's being used to maximum efficiency.
So it's a very interesting technology. I know it's being considered as a freestanding operation for outside a cruise ship as well, for big producers that may be able to do it on site. And so I'd be very interested in getting your information on EAP. I think there's folks here that would be very interested.
Sure.
Obviously, from there's a lot of regulatory issues and things like that for implementation, but understanding that it has capacity and that you've been operating it and working out the kinks along the way would be really helpful. So if we could get additional information on that, we'll share.
Absolutely. And just to reply to that, it has had land use success. We actually modified it to the marine environment, and I believe it's in Norway is where they're using it land-based. So.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. We have some comments from around the table. Member Rydell?
Yeah, just briefly, I was recently on at your private island, and I may or may not have had some empty glass bottles, but I found out that you have glass crushers on CocoCay.
We do.
And I think it's really unique because it took us 2 years to get a glass crusher in the city of Coconut Creek, and I think those are investments that you make that you're surprised at how routinely, and I find the right staff sometimes, and I found somebody that was educating me that you actually use it all in renourishment on the island as well. So it was just an interesting component that they've been doing it, I think, since 2018, the gentleman had told me. So I find that great. Thank you, and thank you for coming today.
And that glass crushing machine, we have glass crushers on the ship, but the one on CocoCay specifically crushes the glass fine enough that we could reuse it as sand. So it's like very crushed.
I think we all saw an article where fraternities have started doing that. So there's an opportunity. Vice Chair. I don't know how much glass they may produce, but.
Right, quite a bit. Right, quite a bit. Yeah, the original RRB actually did a big experimentation with glass crushers and did a whole experiment down on Hollywood Beach on that. I just want to thank you for what that was a very good presentation.
Thank you.
And it's for all of us, to hear. I mean, you all in many ways have to do it because of space, and so that necessity, mother of invention, comes into handy there. But you all have also been very cooperative with the county on this. That's what I really want to thank you. You guys have been on the leading edge, and now we're about to be doing shore power at the county. So there's a lot. Yeah, that's. I think you all have been at the head of that. Disney's been at the head of that, and that is going to put our port in a different place than most other ports. So,
We like shore power too. It helps our GHG numbers.
Yep, exactly. So thank you.
Member Vitale-Bond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Want to say thank you for your presentation, and it was very, very insightful. Being that you all want to be a net zero ship, your ship's net zero by 2028, are you also considering solar on your ships as well? Like other than the composting with transferring your food waste to that biofuel, what other sources are you using to ensure you're moving towards net zero?
You're testing me because I came here to talk about waste, but so it's a great question. Our net zero cruise ship is set to be launched in 2035. We have a full decarbonization team, and they look at it from all different angles. So they look at different ways to improve energy efficiency. If you look at our newer ships, Celebrity Edge class, so Edge, Apex, Beyond, Ascent, I think most of them have been in Port Everglades. They have a uniquely shaped bow. That bow helps us reduce our fuel consumption by quite a bit. We've done HVAC upgrades on almost all of our fleet, and that helps with fuel consumption as well. Lots of little things. All of the lights on our ships are LED, so there's no heat impact from that. Plus, they use less energy to begin with. So energy efficiency is the first part of that, and we've been able to make a lot of improvements with energy efficiency and reducing our fuel consumption. Also, itinerary planning. So we optimize our itinerary routes to use the best speed to use the least amount of fuel. The other big piece of this is what the decarbonization team is really focused on is what is the fuel of the future. So our newer ships, Icon, what is the other one? Icon, Ray, Nova. We have a few ships, Utopia, that are powered by LNG, which is still a fossil fuel. So we still have a carbon impact with LNG, but the engines that use LNG are more easily able to use different types of alternative fuels. So when we build a ship, we're committed to that ship for at least 30 years. So we have to build it and somehow see the future of what's going to be the fuel 30 years from now. I don't think anybody knows. If somebody knows, invest now because you'll be a trillionaire in the future. So we're using alternate fuels. We're also on our older ships, we've been doing a lot of biofuel trials. So many of our ships have, because it's got the same consistency as diesel, so we can just use it as a drop-in fuel and it has less of a carbon impact. So I guess the short answer to your question is a combination of energy efficiency and alternate fuels. We're still working on how to get there. I don't think anybody knows, unfortunately.
I appreciate that. And I know you have other islands. Labadee is one that I visit frequently. What are some of your waste management tools in Haiti?
So in Labadee, it's not really a standalone function like we have in the Bahamas and in Mexico. So we bring the supplies to Labadee, and then at the end of the day, we bring them back on board the ships. So everything that's generated in Labadee comes back on the ship that was visiting there for the day, and we treat it as normal shipboard waste.
So all that waste goes back onto the ship and then you sort it and do,
Yep.
and that includes the food as well?
Food as well, yep.
Thank you so much.
You're
That's all for
welcome.
me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I would note that one of your greatest challenges is that Clean Your Plate program simply doesn't work on a cruise ship. It's discouraged, frankly. So we're mindful of simple strategies don't work.
I will say they had a very brilliant strategy before I came shoreside. I used to be an environmental officer on the ships before I started working shoreside, so I get to see, I understand both sides of the operation. So one of the most brilliant things they did on the cruise ship was they used to provide like cafeteria trays in the buffet. They took those away.
Yeah.
So now you're welcome to go up as many times as you want, but you can only use one plate at a time. And that helped quite a lot because
Well,
people, I mean, everything looks so good. I get it.
People say instead, I'm getting my steps in. So I don't know how much it's helped, but it's a wellness program nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
All right. Coca-Cola. We're going to talk about industrial and manufacturing. Thank you for being here. And then we'll follow next with retail from City Furniture and Sawgrass Mills. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all for having me. Thank you, Todd and Chair and Vice Chair, and good to see you, Mayor Furr. So I'm John Mitchell. I happen to support our sustainability team at Coca-Cola Beverages Florida, and we'll share a little bit about who we are as a company and then the things that we're doing around sustainability, mainly around recycling, but also about who we are as an independent bottler. So Coca-Cola Beverages Florida is a locally family-owned and operated independent bottler. We're headquartered in Tampa, Florida. We operate out of 47 of the 67 counties here in the state of Florida. So we like to say we're everything minus Tallahassee and the Panhandle is our footprint. So Jacksonville south to the Keys. We have 18 sales territories around the entire state of Florida. So just to give you guys a little perspective, 4 of those locations are manufacturing facilities. So heavy industrial materials, obviously, that we're generating there. Out of those production sites, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, and our Broward Hollywood facility just off of Pembroke Road there is one of our larger manufacturing sites as well. So great to be here in Broward County there. When we think about kind of our footprint, we have nearly 5,000 associates. We are Green Circle certified at each of those 4 manufacturing sites. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that entails, but that is certifying those facilities zero waste to landfill and not by just way of incineration. So really taking initiative to really broker out those different material streams and ensuring that they go to a sustainable recovery source, reuse, or to turn back into the same item again is a lot of times what our priority is for those items. And obviously everybody knows us as a beverage company, but we're a total beverage portfolio of company. And what we'll talk about is also the packaging that obviously that we produce in those beverages, and then how we're optimizing those things with the Coca-Cola Company as an independent bottler and as within the Coke system to ensure that those packages can be valuable to the curbside waste stream programs that a lot of our communities have in place, and as well as our customers. So a lot of them are here in the room today, but we want to obviously have the best package in hand that is environmentally sustainable to be turned back into something new again. And so we'll talk a little more about that as well. And so I know this is pretty text heavy, so I kind of kept the deck short, but really just wanted to kind of really focus on kind of some of the priorities for the committee here. So thank you guys for having me, entire committee. Glad to be with you guys. And then obviously strategic efforts and then proposed solutions that us here at Koch Florida are bringing to life. And I kind of failed to introduce myself. So John Mitchell, I support our sustainability team. And really what our goals here at Koch Florida is to reduce our environmental footprint within our business operations. So that's our brick and mortar 18 facilities or so, as well within our customers and consumers, as well as within the communities that we serve and that you guys represent. And so we do that through 4 strategic priorities. Recycling is our primary one, water stewardship, litter and waste reduction, and resiliency, and really bringing those things to life in each of those different categories across our business, within our customers and consumers, and then within our communities. And so when we think about waste generation, the generated materials that obviously you guys are well aware of that we generate kind of that are consumer facing are packages in PET. So that's our polyethylene terephthalate bottles in HDPE. Those are the main bottles that we produce. Then we have aluminum cans that obviously we bring into the marketplace. And then the bulk of our other packages are in glass. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But the items that we generate from an industrial perspective are everything that you can imagine. I know we've heard from the various guests here as well. HDPE, shrink wrap, LDPE, wood, corrugate strapping, metals, and everything in between. And we broker out each of those different materials and actually generate a profit or rebate to many of those that have shared that as well, that actually funds those programs and actually allows for a lot more money to be put to the bottom line of that facility or that manufacturing site. When we think about our customers though, excuse me, the managed materials and how those are being managed locally within our communities, those are at the discretion of the municipality and the haulers that they actually have in contract to be able to collect back those materials. But for us, it's ensuring that the products that we bring to the table are in case able to be recycled and turned back into new packages again, and adding great value to that curbside recycling program for haulers to be able to actually make some profitability off of those packages to be able to uphold a recycling program. And then when we think about the customer lens, so what we're doing in partnership with many of our customers now is beyond just having a wonderful tasting beverage of choice for those partners, is also being able to ensure that we help them close the loop at their location. So if we're partnering with a venue, a theme park, a college, university, lodging center, hotel, lodging, cruise lines, whatever it may be, how do we help them be equipped with the infrastructure or just the process to be able to collect back those materials? And we'll get into a little bit about that, but that includes things like recycle bins, that includes things like waste audit, and ensuring that where they generate the materials on site or where consumers are consuming at that particular venue, they have access points to both recover that package, and then the teams or facilities and janitorial staff that actually are on site to manage those materials are equipped with the resources to be able to do so. And then back of house, what does that back of house look like? How is that set up with the right compactors, balers, process, sortation type of capabilities that ultimately whoever the hauler, the broker, whatever that looks like, is set up to receive it the way they want to. And that's really the relationship generation piece that we really want to have with our partners, to show that collaborative effort is, hey, it doesn't matter who your hauler is, what is the best way that we need to be sending their material that we're sending to you all, that we know that we want to divert from any other source other than coming back into something new again. And then when we think about kind of the regulatory business market or legal challenges to our packages, is when it comes to single stream, bins, it's hard to recycle material. Hard to recycle materials can provide issues for our single stream bins. And so that's why, industries and our industries around the beverage industry and the consumer packaged good industries are taking steps to ensure that the packages that we bring to market are fully recyclable, because we know that we don't want them to become a contaminant, become an issue for you to not be able to place in the bins, but rather add the most value that we can to your recycling curbside programs. And so what we also have realized is that there is lack of consistency and in the standardization of what a community from one location to the next. So there's no standardization. It's different from the residential community to multifamily to lodging to convenience retail, whatever that may be. There's no one way to kind of collect back, or what items can be collected in that waste stream that we've seen. So I think helping to kind of curtail some of those things, so sitting on different committees and boards, those are the things that we're really lobbying on behalf of, is that consistency, that ensuring of the access to recycling at these different locations that sometimes can be very challenging to get those materials back. And then when we think about kind of the educational efforts or approaches that we're making to reduce or divert and reuse our the materials that we bring into our different waste streams, is within our business operations. We talked about our zero waste to landfill facilities. Again, we've been doing this well before we even had a third party audit us for these materials. And so what that looks like is, again, us separating out. We have teams in place that at each of our different facilities, where they actually, their full-time job is really to ensure that those materials are getting baled, they're getting sorted out, they're being toted, they're being gaylored, whatever that way that broker needs to pick up that material, that's the process in which we're preparing those materials to be sent to that broker. And then they're responsible for calling on that hauler, hey, this bale or this truckload of PET is ready to go, this truckload of aluminum is ready to go, and maximizing the profitability of those packages so where we can return the greatest amount of return on that product as well. And then our third party company that we have actually ensures that the hauler that we have in place is actually doing with those materials that they say they're supposed to be doing with those materials. So they'll go to the electronics vendor all the way to cradle to grave. They'll go all the way to the Insight and audit them. If it's an LDPE vendor, they'll go all the way to where they say that vendor is supposed to be going. And so that keeps us a little bit more alert on how the materials are being handled, keeps the vendor accountable, and it also ensures that the material that we're sending is actually going to a sustainable recovery source, turn back into something sustainable again. And then when we think about the dunnage process within our facilities, that's our process to ensure that our smaller hub and spoke locations, so our smaller 14 sales territories, hub in their material to our larger 4 sites, our Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando, and Broward sites. And that process is very systematic, to where we have a big, probably 30-page document that actually shows each picture by picture of the commodity that you may be generating at that site, whether it's cardboard, aluminum, whatever it may be. This is how it needs to be sent to the next facility, so that we can, again, return the greatest amount of value for that material. So a lot of work that we do ongoing to obtain that program, and a lot of great team members beyond just myself that actually lead that on the day-to-day to ensure the success of that program. And then when we think about the customers and consumers, we talked about kind of, what we're doing in venues. For us, that looks like not only talking about the great beverages, but it also includes providing inspirational messaging around recycling, how to recycle, what to recycle, where to recycle at that venue. So messages that are captivating beyond just the beverage itself, but rather encouraging consumers to do the right thing with that package that they have in hand. And hey, Elisa, didn't seem to get there again. And then when we think about the access to recycling. So we're making major investments in technological ways to incentivize consumers to recycle as well. So things like reverse vending machines. We have a few, here in Broward County and even in Miami-Dade, partner city over. But those are ways that we're incentivizing not only the customer to have that asset on their campus, but also by way of, hey, if for everybody who recycles a bottle or can, we're giving a donation to that charity of choice of your choosing that we mutually agree upon. So it's a fun, unique way to incentivize consumers to recycle and do the right thing, and also in a nice technological way, which also this technology showcases how many bottles are being collected. So we can look at the data report monthly, report out to that partner to say, hey, here's the bottles and cans that are being produced and actually generated on your campus by volume, how much we're selling you, and then here's how much you're actually recycling through this machine. So great technology, and one that we're looking to only amplify, but we can't get RVMs fast enough. They're just very costly, and obviously they're a dime a dozen as it relates to kind of getting them in market. So, and then obviously our portfolio. Again, we talked about our packaging, wanting to ensure that 100% eventually of our portfolio is fully recyclable. But there are some challenges to some of our mixed material, our paperboard type material, juice boxes that are not the best material for that content for that package. But we know that we're doing the work that we can with the Coca-Cola system to ensure that our portfolio is fully recyclable, from our bottles to our aluminum cans to our glass, and then everything in between. And then we think about 100% rPET packages. So right coming out of the pandemic, we actually had the opportunity to produce packages in 100% recycled content. And that's right now today mainly in our core packaging. So really that was a push to really showcase that we can actually use recycled content to make our packaging, and it's less environmentally impactful or less carbon intensive than having to recreate, our packaging from virgin material. So, and actually less carbon intensive than aluminum and even in glass because of the weight, because of the heat generated from those materials to remake another package again. So we really want to tell that closed loop circular economy story by way of the value of ensuring that we can help our communities work to help us get our packaging back, and how we can help you guys in that effort as well. And then community. So what are we doing kind of in school system? So when we think about the community advocacy piece of it is, we actually during the pandemic as well, partnered with the University of South Florida for their grant that they launched called the Sustainability Superheroes Program. And what this is a teacher program where basically we provide resources, and then they have, with their College of Education, these master teachers that actually go into the school districts, and they may say, hey, Broward County School District, we want to have this teacher workshop that's going to talk about this United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, also sustainability goals here in the local community, and by way of encouraging your teachers to lead sustainability curriculum with their teachers. And these all are meeting the Florida's education requirements for these teachers to get continuing education, and then obviously the credit that they need to get. And so we provide a $50 stipend to those first 30 or so teachers that sign up. We provide a meal for them. And then obviously we're encouraging them and equipping the teachers with resources like rain barrels. So our upcycled HDPE syrup drums that we now are able to use for rain barrels. We're helping community gardens be flourished, or residents and municipalities be able to use these syrup drums as rain barrels. And then when we think about curbside recycling bin grants, so when we can partner with municipalities that, hey, maybe don't have a recycling curbside program for maybe lack of funding, maybe they have one that they want to scale and extend upon. We tap into some of our partner agencies that can provide bin grant programs to scale or even implement a new recycling program for curbside recycling. And then there's other ways that we can also do from education perspective, where tagging the bins, auditing the bins, those are other resources that come alongside some of those grants that allow for kind of the auditing process to ensure that what the neighborhood residents are doing with the bins is something that can actually be notated, captured, given feedback back to that resident, and to ensure the quality of that material continues on, so we can amplify the hauling relationship. Is what we really want to see for the quality of those materials that we're sending. Consistency of the materials acceptable from one municipality to another. We talked about that a little bit. Securing bids with, MRFs, that's one recommendation or call out that we see and that we're trying to advocate on behalf of is MRFs that actually operate both from a high level capability of sorting, so where we know that there's going to be contamination, we know that residents and consumers are going to not always do what we know they should be doing when it comes to kind of recycling and processing that material, but making sure that obviously we hold our haulers and material management organizations accountable for, hey, are you investing in the right technology and the capabilities, because our producers are ensuring that they have the capabilities to produce content that's fully recyclable. How are you guys also doing that same level of sortation and technology and AI and robotics to be able to sort through those materials that are coming in to be able to return the greatest level of profitability for the municipalities as well. Other concerns and interests, landfill access. So one thing that we've obviously flagged, and we've been working with partners on a Coke national perspective, is working with haulers that also maybe don't own a MRF. Don't own a landfill. Obviously, when you don't own a landfill, there's sometimes that opportunity to not have to say, well, if it's contaminated, I have to send it to the landfill. So if there's not even that outlet, then they have to ensure that there's a profitability kind of being generated from that material that's being generated in the community. So a lot of work that Coke Florida is doing in collaboration with the Coke system, but also ones that we want to continue to evolve with Broward County as well, and the greater communities as a whole. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, thank you. Give them a round of applause. Before we go anywhere, I want to thank you for spotlighting a theme that we've heard a number of times, and that's a lack of consistency or standardization in the messaging that increases contamination rates. We hear from the haulers, those that process, and it's good to hear from the producer side. and as well as that partnership between yourself and industry and the venues and how to maximize that return. It's a critical component. While it's not a closed economic environment, having a role in that to make sure venues that may not have that expertise are getting that is incredibly important. And today's probably not the day for this, but I know bottle bills have been utilized for encouraging recycling. There's various redemption rates. Maine and some of the Northeast is very, very high. Some other states may not be as high, depending on pricing and what types and everything else. I know in Florida, we don't have bottle bills. It's something that has been discussed, and it's obviously at the legislative level. But we do see in some states, I've seen it firsthand, where residents are religious in it because of the economic capacity, or use it as a charitable, as was pointed out here, a charitable opportunity to do it. So it's something that's out there to be considered. Vice Chair.
So quick, thanks for being here today very much. I had a chance to tour your facility, and it is, your commitment is laudable. It's pretty amazing operation you guys have, and you can tell on every level there's a commitment to it, to the sustainability, and all those rain barrels, you got a million of. If anybody needs a rain barrel, they've got thousands of them.
Please reach out for them.
Yeah.
We can't get rid of them fast enough.
Right. So for the school board, if you're doing gardens or stuff like that, I mean, literally, you got tons of them.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, you want to give your cell number right now? I think
I know, right? I know. I didn't put it up there, but yeah, I'll pass out cards, or Todd has, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you all for having me.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank you. One more
all.
time, round of applause. All right, so City Furniture and Sawgrass Mills Mall, we'll be following up right behind. I want to thank City Furniture for being here. For those that don't know, City Furniture not only is obviously a major employer and retailer in the area, but has also spearheaded green initiatives at a broad community level. Last year, your green program was spectacular, and your ability to bring and inspired a lot of the discussions we're having here today. Your ability to bring together the community to have discussions. The panel on the sports industry was really eye-opening for a lot of folks, not realizing that each of the teams here in South Florida have their own view of this, but to be able to work together and learn from you. And just finish with this, Andrew Koenig, the Koenig family has been just an absolute visionary in this area, but has also been willing to share the opportunity to tour and understand and really see the volume that's very transparent. And you've been able to, and I think when we're done this, the conclusion will be you've been able to prove that sustainability and profitability are aligned, and that it's not something that is an anchor or a parachute on dragging you down. So I thank you for being here and having the opportunity and what you do all year. It's not just this workshop here today. I really encourage the community to come out, not only to see the vendors, but to hear the most innovative things that are going on and see a great community partner. With that, introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan.
You may need to just pull that mic just a little. And yeah, and it moves, so you can bring it closer as you wish.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having us. I'm Felicia Futterman. I oversee our community efforts at City Furniture and get to work very closely with our operational partners who drive our green initiatives throughout our facilities. So Sean Paracco.
Yeah, so my name is Sean Paracco. I'm the Senior Vice President of Operations. So I head up all of our operations and our DC and fleet maintenance areas. So that's something that we also have our facilities leader here as well. Mike.
How you guys doing? Name's Michael White. I am the facilities director for City Furniture, taking care of all their wonderful, lovely buildings and making sure that they stay operational.
Perfect.
Awesome. And like you said, Mayor Ryan, we bring together our community in a big way. So it's so fun to see so many familiar faces in the room. I hope we all see you again this summer when we host our summit. But we're going to show you a little bit about what we do at City Furniture, if we can play the video. Oh, one thing at City that we is a challenge. You know, we have furniture coming in from all over the world, right? Our impact is global beyond just what's happening here. So we really focus on our 2040 Green Promise, and what you can see, that's what's happening here domestically. So we're talking Scope 1 and 2 emissions. So 3-part journey. Our fleet transformation, our energy efficiency, and our recycling practices are where we really feel we can make an impact in our local communities and really drive that change. So I'm going to pass it to Sean to talk a little bit about the fleet side and the advancements we've made.
Yeah, so even though our journey started in 2019 with our 24 degree promise, we've been doing this for quite a long time. So as you all know, we've been a member of this community for a long time, and honestly, it's something that our ownership has always thrived on and really had a passion for. So that we giving back is something that is really near and dear to our hearts. And one of the things that we like to do is give back to our community and obviously our environment. So one of the things that we do also from the CNG standpoint is we had this journey back in, I think it was like 2011, we started researching, there's got to be other alternative ways to be able to operate our fleet, right? And have it more sustainable for the environment. And we set out to do that. And one of the things that we came across, it was like different types of fuels, sources, electric, what was there out there and readily available to be able to power our fleet. And we ended up settling on CNG. So about 2012, we started building our first station. And then I think that station opened up around 2013 over in our Tamarack facility. It was definitely a great experience for us. And we've kind of converted that entire fleet now over to 100% CNG. So we now have 4 CNG stations, one at each one of our distribution centers in Florida. So, and one of the things that we don't stop there, we have electric spotters that we're testing. We're trying to be at the forefront of this new technology, and for our industry and just that kind of that medium duty industry from a trucking standpoint. And those of you know that the technology has been focused a lot on the long haul technology, and the medium duty has been a little bit lagging in some of that sustainability efforts. And some of the things that we had to do is go out and create our own. So our senior vice president of fleet DC maintenance, Dave Clevenger, if he was here, he works tirelessly with the OEMs and the manufacturers to come up with better ways to be able to operate their vehicles more sustainable and honestly, more uptime, right? Because anything when you're testing new technology, you're going to have some challenges in general. So he works very closely with them, and he actually got a lot of the initiatives that we had, and now we worked with Isuzu initially to roll out this initiative, and now we've kind of partnered with Peterbilt. So he's been working with them and helping them design the new trucks and kind of rolling out through the rest of our environment. Those new Peterbilts are now 100% dedicated CNG trucks, and we have like 650-mile range on those trucks. So really, we're not sacrificing anything, right? When it comes to range, because there's different technologies out there, and there's different limitations of range, and what you can accomplish. And with our geographic location and our footprint, we obviously span quite a big distance. So there's some things that we work with closely with those OEMs to try to help it make it more sustainable for us in general. We also took it a step further again with the CNG, and now we actually partner and kind of do some RNG as well. So about 60% of all of our CNG is renewable CNG as well. So that's other efforts that we've done on the fleet side.
All right, excellent. On the recycling side, one of the things that I know that you'll tell us is that everything that comes in is managed. There's no waste, right? If it comes in, it goes, into somebody's house, the packaging goes back on the truck, not just because you don't want to leave it there, it's because it has a purpose still. And I think that's a philosophical approach that management's taken from the beginning. It's not just that you're cleaning out the packaging for the consumer, it's that now it goes to its next stage. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So at each one of our distribution centers, we also have recycling centers. We've committed a lot of capital and investment and resources to be able to go through that waste, okay, prior to delivering to our customers, gather up all the material, and then be able to properly sort and recycle those items. So we've got, cardboard, our plastic, our styrofoam, or LDPE, those types of things are all sorted out of the packaging. They're all recycled. We have densifiers that melt down that styrofoam that get foamed into blocks, and then we are able to kind of ship that out, and people make building materials out of those types of things. So there's a lot of interesting things that we do there, and be able to kind of, take all of our waste internally. Some of the things that, Mike and I were just talking about also was, the composting. We've been kind of trying to go after that composting scenario. I know we've kind of talked to him a couple times over the years, but really, it's just kind of, we're always looking for that next opportunity to be able to continue to bring some of those recycling efforts in-house.
And the supplier code of conduct, that this idea of what your packaging looks like before it gets to your facility, is that part of that effort to try to make sure that you can utilize it on the back end?
Yeah, so one of the things we also do, and you saw a little bit on the video, but we have boots on the ground at a lot of our factories too. So some of the packaging designs, how much packaging we have, the type of packaging that they create, we're starting to have some good influence in that up front, as well as the construction of the materials as well. So that there's a big initiative there for us too, where we're monitoring those things, making sure that we are getting what we are asking to get from that packaging, so that it does make it easier in efforts to be able to do that stuff.
And just in a general sense, do you have any estimates of the volume of, let's say, cardboard and other packaging that you're able to reuse, and that which is not reusable or wasted? Yeah,
I mean, overall, we recycle about 8.5 million pounds of recyclables. So, and then that you saw the one where it's 30 million of furniture, but that's through our efforts of our donation and our partnership with Habitat for Humanities as well. And we also have clearance centers. So we also have three clearance centers throughout the state of Florida, where anything that we can't repair back to stock, for our customers, they can come and buy at a discount with some opportunity there to kind of repurpose everything we get.
All right, thank you. All right, any questions? Vice Chair.
Thanks. Again, I just want to thank you. You guys have been a leader in the county. For those who don't know, Keith Koenig was at one of our resilience roundtables, and that was with all the cities, and had a chance to listen to what was going on there with regard to unified sea level rise and sea level rise, and challenged the county to do the metrics on the resiliency plan.
Sounds like Keith.
Yeah, he wanted to see the metrics, exactly. But because of that challenge, the county did a $4 million plan that is now everybody in the country is looking at. But it wouldn't, if it hadn't been that challenge that I think that city had put up, we probably wouldn't have done it in that way of making sure that there was metrics. So I just want to thank you, because it has made a huge difference in how it's being accepted, not only throughout the county and the business sector, but I met with Resilient Cities that's a global group this last week. They looked at that plan, and they are now taking it all over the place. But it started with you guys, so thank you.
That's fantastic, and it's an honor to be able to be invited here to kind of share what we're doing. And we partner with a lot of the local companies here as well, and we all share that same vision. So it's truly an honor to be able to do that.
Yeah, as Felicia said, it's very interesting, right? That there are a lot of familiar faces in this room as we're talking about sustainability issues, being that you're a retailer, right? So the idea that you're doing that's one. And I think to those that haven't had the opportunity, as I understand it, haven't had the opportunity to come see the site as big producers themselves or in the retail industry, that are having doubts, or their boardroom is not quite sure if they want to commit to these things. I know that Keith and Andrew have always been open. I know you and the staff, come sit with us. We'll show you what the metrics are. We'll show you how we do this. And here's how you do it comprehensively. And it has influenced our community, and we see folks coming to see you for that. So
yeah, absolutely. And we host that Green Summit every year that we started, and we try to invite local businesses and to come on out, and we'll love to sit with you and show you everything we're doing and get ideas and bounce ideas off each other. And that's kind of where we learn. And as every time we come to these things, we meet new people to be able to kind of continue this effort.
That's what's compelling about the Green Summit. It's not just an there might be those who listen to that and might say, hey, this is just a gathering of tree huggers or something, right? It's not, it's industry. People are coming to sit with you to try to understand how can they replicate. And at the same time, you're gathering the information and taking new ideas. So I really thank you for that. We have another comment from Member Matea Bone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for all of the great work that you all are doing, especially in the community space. I see you all very frequently, as well as the support you give to our soccer team in Coral Springs. My question for you and all the previous presenters is, how can SWA advance your efforts? We want to make sure that this continues to be collaborative. We want to ensure that we are minimizing well, we're holding you all to a standard, but we're also holding ourselves in a standard, but we have to do that together. So how can we, ensure that our efforts are in alignment?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, it'd be an honor if you want to come over and we can sit down and we can kind of show you all the things we're doing, and you can look at our plan and say, give us opportunities for where we can improve that plan. What are the things we should be considering along that journey? Again, there's only a few of us, so we don't necessarily have a lot of resources from a standpoint of personnel managing the sustainability. It's really all of us kind of trying to chip in on these things. So any ideas you guys can offer us or look through our plan and see where else we can kind of continue to move forward through would be great.
I appreciate that. Mr. Chair, I would love consensus if we can ask our executive director to pose that question to previous presenters, and they can email those responses to us.
I think it's a great idea. Everyone's in agreement. Yes. Would you accept a friendly amendment to that, just in addition to what we can do, also to, and many did, but spotlight the challenges you face, because that's the other part that we have to overcome together, right? I do want to point out that I think part of where is important for someone like you is to help us to develop these best practices in both the systems, human systems, supplier systems, and then the issues of how you deal with it from a corporate side. There's obviously technology and other things, but helping us to understand that and build a consensus of best practices within the community is going to be a key component. And of course, we need to understand your challenges from a regulatory standpoint. What are we not doing at the city level? What are we not doing at the state level to help you? That's for another discussion, but I'd like to spend some time and have that presented to the SWA so that we can leverage not only our messaging, but our capacity to ask for changes within the state, county, or our local municipalities.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Let's give them a round of applause. Well done. All right, next, Sawgrass Mills Mall. Maybe some of you have heard of it.
Good morning, everybody. My name is David Gott. I'm the general manager of Sawgrass Mills, and I appear before you on behalf of our 350 tenants and some 8,000 employees, upwards of well in excess of 30 million visitors a year from 110 different countries. Sawgrass Mills is a big player in the community, and we're absolutely honored to be here. And so, to the chair, the vice chair, and the members, thank you very much for having us. Wanted to just start out and talk a little about the company that employs me, Simon Property Group. We are a very large company. We have 195 retail shopping centers in the United States of America. We are publicly traded under SPG, and we generated $5.7 billion in consolidated revenues in 2023. We have 172 million square feet of GLA. Retail GLA. To give you an idea of the contributions we provide back to the community, we paid in 2023 $656 million in property taxes and generated $4.3 billion in state sales taxes.
Not just in Sunrise. That's not just Sunrise.
No, it's the whole country. And in prepping for this, I went through, we obviously being a big organization, this is publicly available. We issue an annual sustainability report. This is some 39 pages long, so I'm not going to subject you to it. But I will tell you that if you wish to find it, it's on the simon.com webpage under Investor Relations. The 2024 version is not yet available. So preliminary is being done. Let's talk a little about sustainability. Simon Property Group, of our 195 malls, 77 of them are green IREM CSP certified buildings. We have some 1,424 EV charging stations at 129 properties. We achieved an A minus score in the Carbon Disclosure Project. And in 1923, we received a Green Star rating which is the highest designation for sustainability in the real estate industry, awarded by the Global Real Estate Sustainability Benchmark Program. We have a fairly robust sustainability program at a corporate level. We have an ESG executive committee, and they look at what we're doing globally, and that committee reports directly to the CEO and the board of directors. Some of our publicly announced commitments. One is to reduce carbon emissions associated with our energy consumption by 68% and 20.9% for emissions I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. To reduce carbon emissions associated with Simon, meaning the common area, energy consumption by 68%, and to reduce by 20.9% the retailer use, and that goal is by 2035. To reduce water consumption by 15% by 2030 with a base year of 2022. We are committed to increasing recycling rates across our portfolio with the aim of minimizing waste sent to landfills, obviously. We are incorporating sustainable development guidelines in all of our new projects. And we are committed to increase the number of green building certifications every year. I am proud to tell you that Sawgrass Mills is indeed one of the IREM Green certified programs. We achieved our recognition 2 years ago, and we're up for renewal this year. And I have no doubt that we're going to get that. Simon's Sustainability Office is led by our head of sustainability, and he's a full-time dedicated employee responsible for our ESG programs. Let's talk a little about Sawgrass Mills. Sawgrass Mills has done quite a bit, and I just put together some bullet points. We installed a Cryogen X HVAC cooling technology that increases the efficiency on our units. We have, as you might imagine, with as many stores as we have and as big a common area, we have quite a large number of HVAC units. As they are replaced, they are being replaced with Energy Star certified rated equipment by policy, and that reduces dramatically the energy use. We have, over the last 2 years, completed a complete transition in our parking lots from metal halide to LED. We are using a GE Smart Grid technology, so no longer does the parking lot drop to one light out of every 3 at night. It rather drops to 1/3 lighting. So it's basically just by controlling the amount of power, so that we don't have dark areas anymore. It's a much better way to do it. We lost my spot. We similarly, in our renovation, which began in 2019, and because of some small event that occurred in 2020 and 21, pushed all the way into 2022, we converted the entire common area to LED as well. And that was a absolutely huge both energy savings, but also heat load in the building. And then our primary recycling effort is focused around cardboard. We are one of the largest cardboard recyclers in the country, and I'll get to that in a second. So the board asked what types of waste do we generate? And of course, we generate all manner of retail waste, food waste, what customers leave behind, operational waste from construction and demo and reconstruction. By far, our most successful diversion effort is again with cardboard. Sawgrass Mills will divert 1,377.8 tons of cardboard, and that was in 2023. to give you a perspective, the waste that we did not divert is still 3,555,000 tons. Simon as a total will divert 57,185 tons of cardboard nationwide, which is a big number. How do we do it? We have a series of 33 compactors on site. They are divided, as you might imagine, self-contained, cardboard, and waste. Obviously, one of the big the big issues we have is spoilage or contamination of the cardboard loads. We have put together any number of initiatives because it's really a tenant education thing. We deal with everybody from Nike and Nordstrom, who are huge, sophisticated companies, to a small ice cream business that may be operating under a national name, but is really truly a small business, and they're just trying to serve ice cream and make their customers happy, and they're not quite as sophisticated on these sort of things. So, and everything in between. We have, as I said, we have about 360 tenants. I say often I have 360 kids, and I love them all the same. The reality is I like the ones who make bigger sales better, but don't tell them. So it's quite a struggle to educate. Very, 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 very hard. Worse than the tenants to educate is the consumers. We're dealing with consumers from not just the United States, but from the entire world. From places where what we do from a sustainability aspect is nothing. It's rudimentary. It's, there's places in Europe that are much further ahead of us, to places that have never even heard of the concept. So that's obviously a problem for us. Our top five cardboard producers in the main mall are Nike, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Adidas, and HomeSense. And then in the Oasis, it's Polo, Nordstrom, and G Gas and Reebok. We utilize our haulers, our Republic, through the city waste handling agreement for their trash and waste management for cardboard. Next question I asked are the challenges. What are the challenges that we deal with? We're dealing with a very large number of people through. Anything that slows the process of emptying the trash will result in trash on the floor of the lawn, which is unacceptable. And so it's balancing the environmental need with the customer experience and the need to be able to function. There simply is no time to sit and sort through every bag, and the spoilage when we try to do say a glass bottle container is instant and nearly 100%. I mean, even in you might have seen the little things where you put the coin in and it goes to our Simon Youth Foundation charitable. The stuff we find in there, I don't even want to tell you. I mean, that we have to wear gloves and hazmat masks to take the coins out. So it's spoilage is a big issue. And then obviously, we clearly label the compactors. I mean, the cardboard are bright green. They say cardboard only. They are labeled, and yet we will find trash in them. It's frustrating, and of course, it's complicated by the fact that these 33 compactors are in like 18 different locations. So it's not like we have a central place that we could monitor. If we did, it would be great. So that obviously is an issue. The IREM, I won't go through all the things we had to do, but suffice it to say we had to make commitments for reducing both energy, water, and recycling. So how can we work together? How can government work with business? One of the biggest challenges we see with the waste hauling agreements with municipalities, and I say this with all due respect, is they escalate. They escalate every year. They escalate every single year. They are, without a doubt, not energy doesn't go up as much. None of my construction costs go up as much, but our waste hauling only goes one direction. And it's annualized, and it's every year, and it's a burden. So I would encourage you all, as you renew your waste handling agreements, not to just go, well, 3% every year. Yeah, that sounds great, because that's a rough thing for a business our size to absorb. So, and then the other thing is, how can we work together as a big player? The waste handling agreements that the city put together are for everybody. But honestly, the Sawgrass Mills experience is not the same as you will find really anywhere else in the city. So what could we do as a county or even a tri-county area for some of the big players? I mean, imagine if we own and operate Boca Town Center, Coral Square, Dadeland Mall, Dolphin, Sawgrass. We have some interest in Aventura. We have some interest in Brickell. Imagine if we could put together programs that could be universal across that. But that's hard when you're dealing with 9 different regulatory situations. So I don't know that there's a solution there, but I can tell you it's an issue for us. Perhaps there is something that could be written in the code where if we can hit a certain scale and convince the city that we're able to do it better and more efficient and with better diversion, that we could opt out of the program and have independent contracts. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. You obviously understand the city regulatory burdens way better than I do. So that in conclusion is the efforts we're making. We are always looking for more. It is not lost on me that with the amount of traffic I get, we could probably do some great public education stuff. Certainly private partnership stuff. If Broward County wanted to come in and do environmental education in the mall, if the city of Sunrise, of course, the mayor knows this, we would be welcome. We would work with Coke if they wanted to come in for a weekend and do something on sustainability. We've worked with the Panthers on some stuff. So we are very open to using our venue for education and for events.
Thank you, Dave. Let's give him a round of applause for being here. As we see the spectrum of presentations today, one of the things that comes out is that Sawgrass Mills Mall, we think of as a mall, but it's really a mini city. And you have huge complexities, as you've touched on, trying to tell 350 tenants what best practices are without really any enforcement mechanism, nor do you have the staff to do it. And then to have 30 million visitors at different times of the year from 110 different countries, the human dynamics, and we'll hear from the Panthers how they've had to rethink about where you put receptacles and how you use them, is in a consolidated 4 to 5 hour period of time. You have this for extended periods of time all over a big footprint. It's very, very complicated. And yet at the same time, we have to acknowledge you're a huge generator of organics, a huge generator of other recyclables. And so we have an obligation as the SWA and as local municipalities across the Simon footprint to find ways to address the challenges that you raise here today. And there are more significant discussions to be talked about. Partnerships, as Member Rydell was saying, that is key, right? And from these players here that may be able to come in small ways, from composters to others, we need to be able to make sure at the municipal level that we're giving you the opportunity to do these things without being strapped by hauler contracts or something else. And so that's really important. And then finally, as we go forward, I think like a lot of the presenters here today, it's going to be important for us to really sit down and talk about the challenges. To what Member Mateo Bowen's question was, how can we help? Starts with trying to address what your challenges are. And so as we move forward outside the workshop setting, I hope that you'll continue to partner with us, but and I appreciate the sincerity as well as the honesty of the challenges you face, because we have to have these hard conversations if we're going to overcome, particularly for such a big producer. Sure. Again, we can do all we're doing at the curbside, but we cannot forget how the opportunities that present across your footprint. So thank you for being here.
Sure.
Member Horland.
Yeah.
Had to remind you.
I noticed.
I sat in the wrong seat. Thank you, Dave. So much for the presentation. I'm a former retailer, so I understand how much waste is generated by just one of those tenants.
Yep.
Of the 190 Simon properties, are you aware of any in the United States that have had success with reducing the use of single-use plastic bags? Either by, encouraging the tenants, and again, I know it's a challenge, to switch to reusable bags.
There are municipalities obviously that mandate that,
Mhm.
and that's being used. Absent a mandate, they're not going to listen to the landlord to do that. Now there is some single-use plastic bags that we've had some success, but that's usually back of the house. Think Brooks Brothers gets in a stack of men's shirts and it's in a bag and they pull it back, but that's really based on the individualized retailer. Some will play and some won't.
Okay. What are your challenges and opportunities you could see with the organic waste coming out of the food courts? Again, we understand from the consumer point, they're just going to dump it in the garbage. But what about excess food waste coming out of the restaurants and the individual?
But we've got all manner of test programs going on in the United States. We have not come to one that is working really for everybody.
Okay.
But there are 195 malls. There's probably 20 incubator programs going on at any one given time.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And to Chair Ryan's point, if there's any partnership that we can build with you, because we understand the challenges you face, but we also understand the amount of waste that comes out of that facility. Thank you.
Remember right now.
Thank you for coming. I just want to thank you for your unabashed honesty. I think it's refreshing to hear that, so I appreciate that. And I will just say something that I'm looking into in my own city, which I think speaks directly to your challenge, is these franchise agreements. So these cities have these franchise agreements that mandate who you use, how you use, especially with waste cost. You're right. There's built in, it does go up every year, and it's something that we need to address in some capacity. And some of that has to do with, the big people in the room are subject to these franchise agreements sometimes on a hauler agreement that, it's going to hurt city coffers at the end of the day to break those. So it's worth a discussion. The other, I think, significant part, and I told Vice Chair I wasn't going to take a stab at him, but water does that as well, especially with a 17% increase on Broward County water this year. But talk to you about that later.
Okay.
I was doing so well, B.
I know you're.
Sorry.
We're almost there.
But I think that's something you're right, especially with you look at these increased costs, especially as a massive landlord and breaking a franchise agreement. So just a point of advocacy, some of the municipalities you do business in, you may want to maybe ask those local governments for a disclaimer of saying, hey, let us take our 9 malls in, South Florida and let us broker our own agreement with a hauler, and candidly, you do better, but the city's going to lose money on it. So that's my only business point. But I
understood.
I appreciate your honesty and coming in here. Very honest.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. And just so the public knows, right, every municipality in Broward County benefits from the sales tax you generate. In fact, yes. I know what was missing this year from Member Mateo Bone was a holiday card, because Coral Springs gets more of the sales tax than Sunrise gets from there. Because it's based on population. But the real card we're missing is from the county, because they get the lion's share of what comes back from the state. They still do not send out holiday cards on that. So I want to thank you for your yes, thank you. You inspired me.
But we are building some transportation projects.
Yes,
so
no, but I do want to. I want to thank you, because it is again, these concepts are regional, and you have a regional impact on all of our communities. We see it through not only production of sales tax, but in terms of tourism and otherwise. And so we need to sit down with you as one of the big producers and try to work through these complications. Because if we cannot ignore such a big footprint, and not just for Simon malls at Sawgrass Mills, but for the other sites as well, in a regional way. I know.
Yeah, I think we have a chance to learn a lot from you, because if you're doing all those incubator programs now, throughout the country, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to
and I'm by no means the expert, understand. Sadly, my director of operations, Tim Dennis, is on a cruise boat somewhere in the Panama Canal right about now. Good for him, but he would have been the expert to really speak on it. But yeah, we would be always willing to sit down and have those discussions.
Yeah, I think we should try to tap into that.
Yeah.
Because that this is probably one of our hardest challenges, without a doubt. And so if you guys are already trying to do something. Let's find out what's successful and what's not.
Happy to do it.
And to your point about, as was raised by Member Horland on single-use plastic bags, obviously the state has preempted the ability to do that here in the state of Florida. The way that preemption worked was it tasked the Department of Environmental Services to come up with a study to evaluate single-use plastics. And of course, the study came back and told us what everyone knew, right? Which is they're bad and we can do something about it. But until that report's accepted by the legislature, there can be no enactment. I think we're like on our 18th anniversary of not accepting that report. So we appreciate what you have to overcome in that regard. So when people say, hey, why isn't the mall doing this? It's 350 tenants, many of whom have really tight margins. And because it's not mandated here in the state of Florida, even if you bring your own recycle, what they do walk out with are big luggage carts.
They do. Many of people don't use the bags at all.
They use luggage. A suitcase is a perfectly acceptable way to shop at Publix or anywhere else as well. So.
And I will say on the single use bag issue, I have noticed, and I don't know that single use paper bags are that much better, but I have to think they are from a decomposing standpoint. And I have seen probably 75% of the retailers are headed that direction. Certainly if you go in the Colony, which is a luxury retailer, it's almost all paper.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
And now it's time for your Florida Panthers.
A lot of pressure.
I always wanted to say that. Sorry, go ahead.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mayor Ryan, for this opportunity. I'm really, really excited to be here to start to share some of the progress we've made in a very short time. Being here with Felicia and City and John with Coke and seeing the progress they've made as leaders in the space. It's super exciting to know kind of where we can go. So my name's Mike Prairie. I am the Director of Sustainability for the Florida Panthers. Currently, we are overseeing 4 properties across Broward County. That is Amerant Bank Arena in Sunrise, our big venue. We just opened up the Fort Lauderdale War Memorial and Baptist Health Iceplex in downtown Fort Lauderdale, and we still are operating the Coral Springs Ice Den. So 4 properties across Broward County gives us, an incredible opportunity to make an impact here. So just wanted, before I kind of get going, just a little bit of background on us as an organization. It's super important to understand as kind of I walk through this, because I think the impact and the reach that we can have for this group and how we educate the community is going to be is really incredible. So for us, our ownership, our operations for the team, so operating all the venues, and I mean parking, housekeeping, security, all those things, concessions, we own and operate, which gives us an opportunity to control things coming in, the way things come out. So that being number one. Number 2, we did just launch our sustainability program in 2022, but kind of the goal, and I want to make sure like that I definitely communicate to you folks, the way that we're approaching these sustainable opportunities is we're also looking at the financial piece. We're looking to sustainability, right there. We have to be able to, we have to have the ability to sustain the business we're doing. And there are going to be smart decisions and strategic decisions that we can make if we're evaluating all of our variables. And so that's what we're trying to do. We looked at waste when we kicked this program off. We looked at waste as kind of low-hanging fruit for us. If you kind of pop over to the presentation, I don't usually do presentations, just everybody. I usually am a talker. So I'm gonna, but I'm gonna kind of break it into 2 pieces. We have front of house and back of house. So 2022. We have no recycling program, period. So there is no influence of fan behavior. We have collection waste bins throughout the facility. We are back of house only collecting cardboard in a separate cardboard compactor. That cardboard is really coming from our retailers and from our concessionaire. Really no front of the house recycling being done at all. So 2021-22, my first season here, we end up winning the President's Cup trophy for the first time in team history. So with team success, attendance obviously grew. With attendance growing, waste kind of increased as well. And we looked at it, right, like the more successful we are, the more waste we're going to produce. We're not going to stop selling tickets to not have a waste bill. So how do we look to manage this stuff moving forward? So front of house, no influencing of fan behavior. We are increasing in attendance, so waste is increasing. Back of house. Now our back of house challenges. Challenges with our hauler coming out of COVID, admittedly, to us. Challenges in just even getting serviced on time. So we basically looked at waste now as this as the case study, right? How can we look at the economics of our waste? How do we strategically set ourselves up for educating fans that improve the back of house performance? How do we partner with the right hauler, the right suppliers on the front end? So this is the approach we took to waste. So with that in mind, we go out to the market. We understand that we can contract out our recycling hauler at Amerant Bank and Sunrise. We could contract out our waste and recycling at Fort Lauderdale War Memorial and recycling at Ice Den. So kind of armed with that, we put a scope of work together and we went to the market to look for a partner that could support us. We're not waste experts. We're in the live entertainment business. We are a social gathering place. We are a place where this community comes to create memories and wants to come back and enjoy their time. And that's our role. We needed a partner that could kind of support us and guide us in what we could do and implement on our end. That's the work we had to do, but understanding we're pushing a bigger goal. So we form an incredible partnership with WM out of this. We launch a recycling program at the back half of 2022. With that, we purchased new equipment. We had 20-year-old compactors, purchased a new brand new waste compactor, and also a single stream recycling compactor. With the goal of our aluminum, our cardboard, and our plastic glass from front and back of house would be put into that recycling compactor, and now we would have single stream recycling at least on facility. Establishing standard operating procedures for back of house. How are we going to sort? One of the big challenges is sorting, and so being strategic where dark bags are in waste bins, clear bags are in recycling bins. Now our staff knows when those bags come down to our compactor room, if it's clear, we open those, we sort, and now we're dumping those those materials into that single stream compactor. Everything else goes into waste. So that was kind of back of house SOPs starting to being implemented. So we then looked at our bins. This is a big deal. As you can see in the pictures we have here, no consistency, no rhyme or reason, locations didn't make sense. I talk about like Disney. You go to Disney, everything is there for a reason. There are bins placed. That's why there's no trash on the ground. There's a strategy behind where you're placing based on where you're selling and where you're serving. So kind of phase one, we need to standardize our bins. I'm sorry, this drives me crazy, but green bins should always be on the right. That picture should be not there. It makes me nuts. Sorry. So we now look at, okay, we're going to make an investment in this. We're going to be strategic about bins. And so we, again, understanding budgets and those things, we were very strategic about where we purchased the first round of bins, recycling and waste. So everywhere you go in the building, if you see a waste, there should be recycling to the right of it. And if there's not, we're going to have a problem. So that was phase one. We are now going to be consistent. We're going to have signage. We're going to have those restricted lids on the top to help kind of enforce some of that human behavior. We have to simplify. We have to make this as simple as humanly possible for these folks because they're moving around, they're enjoying, they're talking, they're just looking to disperse. And so a big piece of that is they start to see consistency, they will start to learn. Fan education, fan engagement. I'll get into it a little bit further. One of the big strategic partnerships arrangements we made was with Ball and their aluminum cups. So if you go to any of our premium spaces throughout the building, the only way that you will get a serve to drink, except water, will be in a Ball aluminum cup. That was a big step for us. I think it's starting to understand how the procurement understands the back end, because we have a part in all of it. So I'll come back to that again later. But what's very cool about those Ball cups is there's a QR code on them. Fans can scan it. It takes them to our sustainability page on our website, and it talks a lot about what we're doing and educating folks, and that is going to continue to grow as we continue to kind of expand what our reach and our program is. Also, the fan in-game recycling sweeps. A lot of folks love those Ball cups. They take them home. They want them as souvenirs. It's great. But if folks do want to get rid of them during, I think the second period, we have staff, green team that goes around and everybody passes the cups down the row till we collected them. We bring them up top, kind of an engagement for all the fans to take part in. And then a back of house piece of this, which is super important. We have a massive post-event cleanup, and running our housekeeping business, 60 to 70 people that are there to clean sweep that place to get it ready. Like, we have a game tonight, we have a concert tomorrow, we have a game Saturday, we have a concert Sunday, we have a game Monday. So we're in one right now. And so making sure the building is set and prepared for the next day is super important. And this dual stream bowl pick, we have after every event, we have our entire staff of that post cleanup is in the bowl, and they are walking every row in unison, collecting any waste goes in the dark bin, any recycling goes in that clear bag. So when they get those bags down to our compactor room, the sorting staff in that room is already, they know we're opening up clear, it's going here, we're resorting from there. So that was kind of phase one, right? We are now going to start to collect on the front of house, and then back of house is prepared with those standing operating procedures, but now we can start tracking and understanding historical and what we're actually doing. So the sorting process, this is a big one. This was really exciting to be a part of. It took a lot of thinking, and there was a lot of moving parts. Essentially, we maximized the space in where our compactors sat previously. We moved them outside to create this sorting station. Again, strategically done. It didn't cost us hardly anything. We slid them outside, and now we freed up almost 1,000 square feet of space that we can use now to sort. With that, we purchased a baler. So that baler can bale both cardboard and aluminum. So what now kind of the process is, where we were sorting plastic, aluminum, cardboard, glass into that single stream compactor, we were able to pivot and take another step forward in now actually pulling the cardboard and the aluminum separately from that single stream compactor so that we can bale those on site, which has, in a very short amount of time, has reduced our waste bill by almost 40%, even with the increase in attendance. We've truly kind of changed the economics around our recycling, and which has been, again, I think this is a replicatable model for us again, that we will look to expand across our portfolio. So really exciting stuff. Like, we're still just kind of in gathering stage. But looking at numbers for budgeting next year, it's really exciting to see the impact that this is having. So just want to jump in on the Ball aluminum cups really quick. This is part of our strategy, was a material assessment, understanding what we're bringing in, because we control what comes in. We should be able to control then obviously what comes out. The aluminum cups are super cool. We partnered with Ball. We're looking to expand upon that. Actually looking to pull in another partner, Novelis, who is an aluminum manufacturer. They are the supplier of the aluminum cups to Ball. So truly looking to create a circular economy. And even in speaking with the president of Novelis, Florida, I think, has the second highest amount of unrecycled aluminum in the country. And I think there's a massive opportunity. Hard Rock Stadium buys cups from Ball. The Kaseya Center buys cups from Ball. I think there's a South Florida solution there that we're looking to kind of tie in, I think, to not to take a left turn, but Mayor Ryan says it perfectly. I think our reach, and if we understand how to do things correctly and what we're teaching is, and we're educating folks correctly, the opportunity is massive. Like people love sports even when they don't love anything else, right? Like it brings people together in ways, and I think people listen even when it doesn't make sense to listen, but they do. And I think it's on us and it's our responsibility to make sure that we're saying the right stuff. We want to be, I think the other part of pro sports is we want to be the best at whatever you're doing. And I think we want to lead in a lot of those ways. And, we look around the league and I think even pro sports in general, and in the folks who've made the most progress, the Climate Pledge Arenas in Seattle, the State Farms in Georgia, the community really drives what those organizations are doing. We're looking to do the opposite. I think the team and what we do can influence what the community is doing. And I say, if you gave me Climate Pledge, how hard is that? Amazon's writing black checks. We can do anything you want. And I think the backing is there. Here I think it's I love it because I think the opportunity is incredible. I think it's incredible. And I think, we're positioning ourselves so that we can really truly support this community in a way that we never did before. And I don't even know really that other teams in South Florida are doing. So we're going to get better every day, essentially. And this kind of speaks to this. The compactor audits are super important. WM actually audited our recycling compactor, which gave us the data that allowed me to have the resources I needed to get the baler and let them understand that basically 60% of what was going into our recycling compactor was cardboard. If we take that out, we're going to cut 60% of our hauls year one. And with that, if we're just baling cardboard, we're saving money, even if we're getting a small rebate on it. We then expanded and said, all right, well, aluminum's worth more. We have the aluminum. We'll bale the aluminum too. Now, if I pull aluminum and cardboard out of that compactor, it's been pulled 4 times in a year, which is compared to, I think, 4 times a month the previous year. So those audits are extremely important for helping us understand where we can make progress. The education around staff happens constantly. What gives us an advantage is that we train, it's not a third party. We're making adjustments on the fly. The directive is coming from us at the top. And all of this is leading to the opportunity for us to have bigger discussions about what we're buying and how do we continue to progress. I wanted to throw this in here because I asked PR this is really impactful, right? I think we're in 2.6 million households right now. And we'll have 100,000 people in the building this week. That's not, in a month. That's from today till Monday. There'll be 100,000 people that come through this building. This just talks about Panthers and us being sold out for the first time, and we're 6th in the NHL in attendance this year. That doesn't count the concerts. That we have 15,000 people coming on Friday, another 8 on Sunday. So this community comes through our doors often. And again, I think there's a massive opportunity for us to educate those folks. Looking ahead, I'll start at the bottom, the circular supply chain. John Mitchell's been phenomenal, and we're already in the process of getting our single-use plastic verified on where it's going. We do still purchase single-use plastic. Again, a lot of what we're doing now is going to influence decisions we're making moving forward. But in the meantime, Coke's an incredible partner. We're super excited about this. This is going to it's a big deal for us to get this certification. And it's kind of that first step, and then looking to do the same with the aluminum. I do have a huge focus on organics. I think I've talked to Mayor Ryan about this. One of the things I see around pro sports, the folks that are composting, again, unless you're in Seattle or a state where it's ingrained in what you do, most of the composting that teams are doing is back of house stuff, is cafeterias, it's players stuff, it's the front of house fan facing stuff is extremely challenging because it's hard to control. Again, we have an opportunity in our premium spaces where everybody eats and drinks in the same spot and then sits. I would love to at some point where gradually move on to the point where we can test composting, recycling in those spaces, and educating and teaching the folks in the community. But that's bigger picture. But Dustin and I have been talking on and off for about 6 or 8 months, looking to find a solution, which we will, for how we manage our organics. I think we're looking to be very strategic, and not make just quick decisions. We want to make sure that what we're doing works and will be what helps solve these issues for the community, not just a quick fix that's going to further delay anything that's trying to be done here. So I have talked to the folks at Broward County. There is a food waste and composting grant. We're waiting to actually see if that'll be available again this year. I've met with folks at Sunrise and the county on looking to do that. I think, again, from an educational perspective, nobody's going to reach more people than us. I think, seeing how we can and maybe all support in that, I think would be an incredible opportunity. And I think, leveraging the county's future needs, that's, if it matters, if we're struggling with it, the county is. And I think we can be really better. We can be better about understanding and aligning, so that we can help answer questions, ask questions, whatever it may be. I think we can be a great partner for the county and the community. So yeah, that's it. Appreciate you guys having me here today.
Michael, thank you for your passion and energy. Most folks don't know this, but this was the exact same speech that you went and gave in the locker room before the win over the Maple Leafs this past week. After a 4-game slide. It worked.
Fired up for recycling, Mayor.
We're ready to go, Coach. We're ready. I do want to begin at the top, thanking the ownership group, the Violas, Matt Caldwell, the whole team really came together during COVID. Matt said we're going to be the most progressive team in the country, as we're going to take COVID and use this as an opportunity to be touchless, to be able to improve our services, to follow the metrics and show, and did that. And right on the heels, what a lot of people didn't know, was also beginning to work on this very difficult and thorny issue of waste. You have some advantages, obviously, of being a closed environment where you can control the circular economy. But the points you raise are lessons for those of us that don't have that. And I think that you've been consistent in preaching this, that while, yes, we control this, you can take certain lessons from that, even in an environment that you don't control. The work with other teams, the communication level that's going on with the Heat and the Dolphins here locally and regionally is brought together by City Furniture and others, and the lessons that are being learned, as well as you're traveling around the country to understand what are our teams doing that maybe in an environment where it's being placed on them. What are some of those things? Right. And I truly appreciate, I know we all do, that while it's not being forced down on you, you understand the imperative of it, and the ownership group understands the imperative of it. There are some great lessons that come out of this, right? That all of us can learn, even for, let's just say the challenges that the mall faces are huge. The human dynamics of where to put bins and how do you make sure they're consistent, across different languages and different opportunities. These are things that you take some of those lessons and you figure out, now what do I need to do with those? Understanding, like in the Disney approach, that there's got to be so much if you're going to do it. And the consistency, the procurement issues, all of these lessons are important. The audit side of this also, right? Being able to show what, City Furniture and others have done, which is that you can be sustainable and profitable. And this was a great summary of that. I think the community should be inspired by what's coming. And I know as you go on to organics, I know that's an area that you've been very passionate about, trying to approach it like you have these other areas to make sure it's successful. There are a lot of emerging technologies. We've heard from Royal Caribbean today and how they're able to take land-based from Norway, put it on the ship. There's a lot of things that are coming. I know you've been talking to Dustin and others, but the work you're doing is to make sure that when it's launched, it's successful and then can be replicated. And you've really become, and it's hard to really understand this, but you've become an incubator for ideas that we can also take to our municipal services.
And I don't think that any of us sitting around this table or the governing board or across the county should do anything other than listen to the lessons you have come away with and see how we can put them in our own operations. And finally, I want to thank the county for making sure you guys are going to stay here. So
thank you, Mayor.
Member
That
Morley.
was really nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Mike. What a great presentation. I just
Thank
want to say, we're so proud of the organization, not just because you brought the cup home, but because of everything that you just outlined today. And the community engagement has been just phenomenal.
Thank you.
What I want to ask you, first of all, I want to compliment you. The use of reusable bags in the gift shops, not many teams are doing that.
Yeah.
And people notice it. So that's great. For one. Do you have any influence over fan giveaways? And I'm going to give the example of the Maple Leaf game on Tuesday night. Okay. The blow up hockey sticks that came to the pack wrapped in plastic. And when I left the game that night, a lot of those blow up hockey sticks were lying on the floor.
Yep.
They're not recyclable.
No.
Whereas a rally towel, I take mine to the gym with me. So people take those away and they don't come wrapped in plastic. So I think, you're doing so many positive initiatives, implementing them. That's a little piece of it. It killed me to walk out and see all of those laying on the floor.
It makes me sick. But no, like that, but I think it's part of our procurement. It's gonna be like, this is it. It's gonna take some influence there still, but you're absolutely right. Like those giveaway things are a great example because we are giving them to fans. Like this, they may not take anything else home with them.
Sure.
They are gonna take that home, and it's not anything that can be recycled.
Right.
And I think that's absolutely correct. And
Then oftentimes with something like that, they blow it up and then what are you going to do with that one at home? And they just lay it on, and leave it on floors.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
I'm on that.
a tip.
No,
Okay.
it's good. No, I love that. I need it. This is truly, I think, I don't know. We don't have all the answers yet. I think we're open though enough. And I know from Matt down, like the culture is, we want to help. Like what we're doing in War Memorial at Fort Lauderdale, like how do we help manage the parking for Parker Playhouse and Park and Rec? Like we need the feedback. I welcome it because I think, we're continuing to try to get better at what we're doing. And if what we look to do with development at some point on that property here is going to be, it will change everything. And I think this just scales. Right, all of this stuff, waste, and this role, power, electric, water, waste, all that scales, and how do we manage it when it does? So thank you. I'm on it.
Thanks. Oh, great presentation.
Thank you.
And the fact that we know that you'll be here for 19 years now, that we just
beautiful.
signed that, we can think long term.
Correct.
And that makes a big difference because you can start to invest in those kind of bailers and all those things, because it's not just a year by year. And I know part of our agreement that we just signed has a lot of infrastructure part.
Correct.
And I think that's one of those opportunities that, we can use. And as in terms of like a circular economy, all the aluminum that we pull in from the rest of the county, we should be able to use that to be able to create our own.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And those are the kind of things where knowing that this is a long-term thinking.
Everything we're doing this to scale. I think like all these specifically, the process we're building is replicatable and grows with, and that's why we did it this way. Before we start telling people to recycle, we need to know how we're doing on the back end. So I think the waste was the proof of concept, getting ready for look at what we can do with waste. Now the county deal comes. What are we doing with water and electric and all these other things? So now the trust is there. We've built the machine that now, it's not waste. It's just a different utility or whatever it may be. So
I really appreciate the passion as well.
Thank you.
I'll interpret those comments as the county's willing to pay for it. We have
I was going to leave on a high note. I was going to just
not yet. You haven't paid for that yet. You haven't paid for the waste side. Remember.
Just very briefly, thank you for the presentation. I'm just curious which playoff night you'd like the executive committee to come and watch the actual recycling efforts that are going to be taking place.
And truly though, I think Mayor Ryan's been on. I absolutely. I'm just saying. I absolutely.
As long as it's not another seventh game, I can't handle it.
Can't do it. I would absolutely invite anyone here to come anytime on site. I love giving tours of what we're doing because I think maybe I'm missing something. Like I'm not thinking that I'm not, and I think it helps to get John being on site, getting eyes on things has been extremely helpful. We wouldn't be here if he didn't. And so I think, I welcome that invite's open. So thank you guys.
Thank you. And I also want to thank the Panthers, the mall, the county. Styles Corp's going to talk next on finally being able to get Pat Salerno Drive to go northbound. You guys were critical on that. And I do have a few ball cups. So if you need those I'm not giving those up. Though.
No,
Sorry. All right. Thank you. One more time. Round of applause. All right. Styles Corp.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Doing great. Thank you. We're ready for some playoff hockey.
Yeah.
Trash should be so exciting.
I know. Well, my name's Matthew Lilly. I am a senior manager with Styles Corporation. With me today is Megan Purdue. She's one of our general managers at Styles Property Management as well.
Support our Broward County properties.
Megan oversees all the commercial real estate that we're managing in Broward County. And I am a senior manager at the Main Las Olas, which is a 400,000 square foot office building in downtown Fort Lauderdale. So we're happy to be here today. Just a little bit about our company. For those of you who don't know, we're a 74-year-old commercial real estate development firm started by Howard Styles, Terry Styles, and now Kenny Styles. So family owned and operated. Been doing business in Broward County for all 74 years of that time. And we do everything from acquisition, development, construction, owning, and managing of commercial real estate. As mentioned, Megan and I are in our property management group. Right now, Styles is managing over 110 properties. That's 22 million square foot of real estate in Florida, the Carolina, and North Carolina. A ton of that being here in Broward County.
Probably a third to a half of that is Broward.
So with that kind of quick breakdown, about 40% office properties, about 40% retail properties, and another 20% of associations and industrial. So just kind of jump into what we're talking about here today. The types of waste that we're generating is basically everything, right? Retailers, office buildings, restaurant trash, good amount of recycling, cardboard. On the construction side of things, we've obviously got quite large scale projects going on where we've got bulk waste, tenant build outs inside of our office spaces, our retail buildings, and quite a bit of e-waste, right? Like we've got tons of tenants in our buildings and they have the need to get rid of computers, monitors, printers, ink, toner, all that sort of fun stuff. So to jump into how we're managing these processes and making them more efficient, more green, following the LEED standards that we've known and grown by. One thing that we do rely upon a lot are our third-party waste management companies. We work with a couple here in Broward County, and we've found that very important as an organization to us because what they've really been able to do is be a liaison, a middleman, and really a manager for ourselves, our clients, and our tenants in between the ownership groups and the tenants. So, one thing that we do is whenever we take over a property, whether we're purchasing it or taking it over with another owner, is we always look at the trash schedules and look how we can optimize those. So always sit down with our waste management specialists and take a look at that contract. It's one of the first things that we do when we take over managing a building. As mentioned, a lot of times these ownership groups and or property management firms, they're just eating the 3 to 5% increase year over year from the haulers. Even if they are in a municipality, obviously here in Broward County, vast majority of our municipality, our cities have franchise agreements. But one thing that we strongly encourage to our other managers is to get the third party consultants involved because They have the relationships. They are able to look at these contracts and really minimize whether it's trash pulls, optimize our schedules. So, in a retail center, if we've got, a trash container, sometimes we take over these and they're not even recycling. So we really want to look at that optimization. Maybe we can decrease that trash haul from 5 days a week to 2 days a week and supplement that with a recycling program and work with them on that. Compactors are imperative to what we do. I find that, in the downtown urban environment, we have a 30-yard compactor at one of our buildings. And we've really worked hard to optimize that schedule to where we're doing a lot of recycling, and that compactor is only being pulled, a couple times a month, as opposed to weekly in a lot of places. So some of the training that we're doing with our tenants and whatnot is really based on the educational efforts. I kind of skipped a couple slides here.
Well, yeah, I can jump in a little bit. So we do, we do constant training because adult humans are harder to train than children. And look, they're coming to work and wanting to do their job. They don't want to mess with, can I recycle this? Can I not recycle this? Blah, blah, blah. So we're constantly reminding. Furthermore, it's our vendor partners. So we have to make sure our janitorial teams understand if there's contamination in the recycling container. Is it something not too messy? They can pick it out and throw it away and the rest of it's still good. We actually don't even put clear plastic bags in our recycle containers because we found if there's a plastic bag, they don't care and they throw it in anyway. But they're less inclined to do that if there's no plastic bag in there. And that's helped a lot. You have to make it easy in order to get people to comply. So one thing that kind of personally bugs me a little bit is some of the contamination rules. Because plastic bags you can recycle, but we're all told by all the haulers that you can't. So I think we'd probably be recycling even more than 50% and be closer to your 75% goal if there wasn't so much contamination that's not actually contamination. Even pizza boxes, you're told not to recycle those. Well, all of this, when it's going to get recycled, gets heated and all the the food grease and whatever comes off and you can still recycle that cardboard. So kind of missing a nice chunk of stuff right there. And I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but same thoughts on the franchise hauler things. Our job is to reduce costs to attract tenants, especially I know one of Broward County's goals is to bring in other industries and corporations to our county. And we have to show that it's better for them to be here because we have reduced costs. I can't control the costs in a franchise trash city. Maybe there's a hybrid of keep it for residential. I live in Coral Springs and I love not having to think about who's picking up my trash. But for commercial, I want to control when they're coming, how much it's going to cost. And also when the hauler knows like, okay, like you have to use me no matter what. So I don't really care if you're mad at me. That makes it harder for me to manage missed pickups and things like that. So just a couple of thoughts there. I think that's good.
Right. I think that one thing that is very important with the haulers in the municipalities that are franchised is when those contracts are renewing and as you're managing your cities, you want to look at that because, we want on the commercial side, on the business side of things, we want our businesses and our tenants to succeed, and we want the levels of service that the haulers are providing to match what they have known to come and expect, while the prices are not just increasing year over year. So we kind of touched a little bit on the education aspect of it, but we are continuously educating our tenants. Over and over. And this is across the board with our company and in all of the buildings that we manage. Even if a building is not, say, LEED or Energy Star certified, we are managing it in that capacity already, in a green capacity and working to improve regularly. So, one thing like when we've got tenants moving into our office space, we actually provide them with the recycling containers to put in their space free of charge. We also, at times, have sat down with the tenants and our waste management consultants to just kind of go over, hey, how can we make this easier for our organization? Because as Megan said, the adults in the workplace can be a bit lazy at times, and you really have to make it as simplified as possible. On our vendor janitorial front, a requirement for us is for the cleaners to actually have the dual cart set up as they're going through the office space in the evening when they're picking up trash, so that it is very simplified and they know that, hey, the garbage container goes in the dark one and the recycle goes in the blue. And what I also find is that the associates that are in the building, still working at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, they do pick up on that because they see that happening with, the blue recycle logo, and that kind of word does spread. Anything to add there?
We do e-waste drives a couple times a year so that we can encourage them not to just throw out their, electronics and other things. And we even, you have stuff from home, bring it in. You have light bulbs from home, we have a bulb crusher, bring it in. We'll crush it for you and recycle it.
Definitely. So, with that, I think that kind of wraps up really the educational piece, and just kind of, some additional perspective that we touched on. Want to just see the continued development really of the haulers being accountable for what they're doing and using the resources. I know I mentioned this a couple times, but even if you guys are in franchise agreements in your city, you can still enlist a third-party consultant to come in and help you, take a look at those contracts during renewal, and see what your options are, because they are the ones that have really good relationships with a lot of these haulers, and they can and they will drive the cost down for our businesses, for the cities and the consumers, and they'll hold their feet to the fire on the level of service that we want.
And when we utilize them, it doesn't add costs. So they typically, even in franchise areas, they'll analyze your usage. They'll change things around, and our costs either remain the same or are lowered, and they're still helping us. So it's magical.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
You raised some excellent points, particularly for our need to engage property management. I know you own a lot of the properties, but for property management groups that set the rules, if you will, across multiple properties, it's important that we engage them. And then secondarily, you've raised obviously the harmonization of information, recycling consistency, contamination rules, addressing those, and making sure we're doing that across through some big players. Our capacity to be able to communicate to a lot of your tenants through you is something that we need to keep in mind on our educational side, that you are a conduit for that, and you need to be part of that process as you and other property managers. And so that was very, very helpful. And obviously the franchise agreements is something that we all need to consider. So thank you for that. Sure. Member right up. Okay. Member.
I think one thing you did say that others have, and it's a reason why, but education is the main thing that we need to work on. And the biggest thing is the adults. It's amazing. I'm glad we have the school board on board now, because we have to start very, very young, because we are stupid when we get older when it comes to garbage. It's one of those quick things, like you said, from the Panthers, and I go to a lot of games, and it's amazing how somebody will have a plastic bottle in their hand, and there's both bins there, and it's whatever first one they come to is what they throw it in, and how silly it is. You can't go another 18 inches and put it into the right bin. So the education, and somehow, how do you get that connection with the adults to take that one extra step to make it better for all of us is, I think, to the children, because the children will rat on you in a second when they get that in their mind that bottle goes in here, mom and dad, doesn't go in here. And I've seen it happen before. And when we can get that connection, I think we're going to make a huge progress on what we're trying to do here.
One thing I do in my properties is I tell them, even if you don't care about the earth or the environment or recycling, you're going to save money by recycling. So if you care about money, just recycle.
Yeah, to that point, contamination, right? That's the next driving message, right? Is that by reducing contamination, you're reducing your costs. We know that as cities now, as we enter these programs, and Waste Management and others are saying, hey, we want to help you because your costs will go up as your contamination goes up. So to those that are not as interested in the environment or whatever they think, cynically, they can do that. I do think the other points he raised, and SES has raised this in a different way, but the idea of trying to optimize trash hauls by understanding what you're doing by practice is a little more difficult at the curbside. But from the business perspective, these programs of compacting and creating those best practices can reduce. A major challenge across many properties will be organics. We've seen challenges in big cities where they've tried to impose organic, composting in large buildings and office buildings and collection issues. That'll be an issue that we'll all have to face with the providers. But you still provide that opportunity to educate and to, once it works, you can, be a partner in enforcing that. So
yeah, and I mean, almost every time we take over a new property, we find savings in trash every time for the tenants there, the buildings. And a lot of times it's just stuff that has kind of gone on year over year and just exponentially rolled.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you. One more time, a round of applause. Thank you. And FP&L is here to announce all our rates are going down, and
all right. Good morning. Matt, real quick, I just want to do a little intro. I asked for this specifically, especially due to the next item that's on the agenda from SES with regards to getting us ready to understand what is going to be in front of us as far as decisions. Is decisions going forward. You'll see that here going forward as SES gets up here. But my experience is going through various parts of the country is that as energy needs increase in an area, the amount of resources needed in that area increase also. And with that, the amount of disposal and recycling. So I asked FPL to come here today to just go through, energy demand and what they are anticipating going forward for the next number of years.
Yeah, thank you very much, Director, and we appreciate the opportunity to come and speak today. My name is Matthew Kozo. I'm here with my colleague, Baldwin English, out of External Affairs. I work in FPL's development division, and just as the Director mentioned, we are seeing forecasts for energy demand increasing throughout the United States. So we wanted to share with you today what some of those drivers were, because we believe, as the Director laid out, that there will probably be a strong correlation here within the county and the state for demands of services and products from some of the business leaders in the room have shared as well. So with that, we'll take us on to the next slide. All right. So at FPL, we're very proud to be part of Team Florida and Team Broward County. We recognize that growth is vital to ensuring that Broward County thrives. It's no secret that Florida is one of America's fastest growing states. We're attracting all kinds of businesses, high-tech businesses, financial services industries, flocking to Florida. Some say that Florida is becoming the Wall Street of the South. Tourism continues to grow, and Florida's economy really matches some of is as big as some nations globally. So what are we seeing in the demand forecast? Well, there's a variety of drivers. A third of the growth demand that we're seeing at FPL is coming from AI and the proliferation of data centers. But the other 2/3 of demand is coming really from the adoption and expansion of electric vehicles. We're seeing increased obvious folks are moving to Florida, moving their businesses to Florida. So you have commercial and residential growth. And we expect to see a continued emphasis on industrial manufacturing moving back and being promoted within the U.S. and the state of Florida. So all of those elements combined, many studies are ongoing, but we're seeing nearly 55% growth prospects in the next 20 years. So Florida's economy is very healthy, which brings a lot of families and businesses to the state every day. That's not happening by accident. Obviously, our weather's attractive. The regulatory environment is conducive to conducting business. There's no state income tax. We're seeing roughly 750 people move to Florida every single day. So obviously, that's going to put a strain on the services that the county provides. It's going to result in increased power demand at home and in businesses. At FPL, we don't want to just accommodate growth. We actually want to drive growth. We've driven growth through our programs, through our economic development program, Powering Florida, which has brought over 300 companies to the state, resulting in $6 billion of capital investment, $7 billion of capital investment, around 55,000 jobs. And we expect much more growth to follow. We've seen companies bring their business to Broward County specifically, companies like Centivia, which is a leading manufacturer in defense contracting and aerospace. So we are excited about that growth, and we are working to prepare the system to accommodate for that growth. And I'm going to allow Baldwin here to talk to you a little bit about how we're going to face that increased demand and maintain service reliably and resiliently. Thank you.
Still morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. Am I the last person before lunch? All right. Can I get an amen? All right. Trick question. Good. You should not be happy for that because we should be happy to talk about sustainability. So thank you for the opportunity to continue this conversation. And as Matt discussed, when it comes to managing this growth, how do we plan on serving our growing customer base in a way that is reliable and sustainable and resilient? And we're doing that. We're in the hurricane alley, right? So there's no way to have that discussion without discussing the impacts of hurricanes on our system. And last year was a busy storm season for us, and Milton is a storm that we remember that impacted us here in Florida. What was unique about Milton was the tornadoes, right? We had 120 tornado warnings, about 40 in South Florida here alone in Broward and Palm Beach County. During that time, we had about 2 million customers that lost power. And the good news is that within 24 hours, we had 2/3 of them back online. And this is as a result of the billions of dollars in investments we've made over the years. If you want to compare that to our 2004-2005 hurricane season, where we average about 17 days being out before we're able to get that number back online. So the money that we have invested, the funds we've invested into the system since over the last 20 years, how has it impacted Broward County specifically? So we went with a top-down approach. So we started with our transmission infrastructure. All of our transmission lines are in Broward County 100% hardened, right? So we don't anticipate any adverse impact due to storm activity. 90% of the main lines that you would see running down up across Broward Boulevard, up and down University and all these major roads, 90% of those in Broward have been hardened, and we anticipate hitting 100% of those lines over the next several years. And for many of you representing different cities, you know that we are in the process of also undergrounding a lot of our lines, right, through our Storm Secure Underground program. So we're about 60% of the way in that program here in Broward County. And again, that's going to be a much longer process for us to get everybody. And more than hardening, resiliency is part of what we're doing here. And part of that resiliency is a diverse generation mix of energy production. That's essential, that we don't rely on one source of energy production. And as you can see from the slide here, we've moved from coal and oil to really deploying the latest in technology to provide the cleanest energy that we can for you. You see the Everglades Solar Center, not right down the road from us here. Just that center alone, as representative of all of the solar deployment that we've had in the state, it has saved our customers about $1 billion in fuel costs, right? We've been able to avoid $1 billion in fuel costs, and it's very minimal impact to the land, as well as doesn't require a lot of maintenance. I think for a while there, we were using some shepherds and sheep to mow the lawn. I'm not sure if we are still. I'll get you an update on that if you're interested. And these investments allow us to continue to keep our bills low. As you can see here, we've done that really on two sides. One is operation and maintenance expenses. We've kept that below the national average, saving customers about $24 per month as compared to the national average, and over almost $3 billion per year if you were to annualize that amount across our customer base. And that results in really a total bill that is approximately over 30% lower than the national average, and over 20% lower than the average here in the state of Florida. We're talking on a per 1,000 kilowatt basis. I think in South Florida, we have, larger homes to a large extent, using a lot of AC. So you have to keep that in consideration as you think about those numbers in your head. And we've done this and been able to continue to provide reliable, resilient, sustainable service, even through COVID, through tough times, through the current uncertain economic times that we're facing right now as well. We're able to grow our bills at a rate lower than the rate of inflation over the last 20 years. And what does that do? What does that mean? That means our customers, residential customers, have more money to engage in sustainability efforts, as well as our larger customers as well. So we've heard our name mentioned here a lot today, a lot of our partners here in many different respects, that we've been able to be a great partner in the community. We're proud that we've done that. We're able to do that for the last 100 years. This is our 100-year anniversary. Thank you. I was waiting for that. And really, a lot of people don't know that our first generation asset that we built was right here in Broward County in Dania. And as you can see from this picture, when we started, there was a chalkboard and things were done very manually then. We're happy that today we're able to leverage the best in technology to continue to be not just a great partner, but to provide service at a cost that is reasonable and more resilient each and every day. And that helps us to make it more possible to serve you. Back when this picture was taken, I think, not when this picture was taken, but before, we had about 14,000 residents in Broward County. Today, it's about 2 million or so, right? So anything that we can do to help to manage the growth in this area, we're happy to do that, to continue to partner with all of you and those of you that you've heard here before. And with that, we look forward to serving you another 100 years, and we'll thank you for the time. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Matt will be able to answer each and every one of them.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause. I will not be here for the second 100-year anniversary. To the point of the Solid Waste Authority, across your operations, have you all done waste generation audits to understand the types of waste from your operations, which is, from staff facilities to what you do in the field? And what are the results of that? And what work are you doing in the area of sustainability and recycling and reuse?
Yeah, so our operation obviously spans throughout the state with many different locations, whether it's construction sites, our service centers, our corporate headquarters. I can speak to what it is we're doing somewhat in the field and at the corporate headquarters. We do rely on contracting out with third parties, waste management. We do have recycling programs set up at all of our offices, including our headquarters. At all of our facilities, we utilize recycling. On the construction side, I know we do a fair amount of in-house recycling for construction materials that are taken out of service. That we have an e-recycling program that we manage in-house. Our cable that we take out of service, we recycle it and put it back into the economy. So we do the best we can to maximize with our construction debris. recycling, but we do heavily also rely on the same contracted services that were represented here today.
Great. If there's an opportunity for you to maybe summarize that as it relates to Broward County operations and provide that to us at a later date, that would be very helpful. Across the different commodity streams, everything from organics to e-waste to construction debris. We'd like to understand that, as well as the challenges, as Member Terrebonne has asked, to say, how can we help in that process? That's the purpose of today, right? Is to make sure that we're providing that assistance, and what your challenges are, whether it's, as you've heard from the other participants, something we can do at the municipal level, or how we provide education. But we need to understand that better. That's the real purpose of the SWA.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Let's take a 2-minute break for SCS. They're going to give us the financial overview path SCS presentation. Yep. You guys ready? All right. So we'll take a 2-minute break.